Over here chomping on crackers in the background. He's like, what's that sound?
We're live.
We're live vlog?
Yes.
How do we look? Can we roll with
Maybe
it? Welcome to the greatest college queen captains in existence. Yeah, Ray's breaking the set. Ray's breaking the set. Yeah. So there you go. This is my drink. Yeah. Got some lean here for later, but welcome to the greatest college queen captains in existence. We have a very special episode for you guys today. Usually we're virtual, but we decided we're gonna cut that virtual shit out. We're gonna start
Not permanently. No.
forever.
We're not doing this every day.
Forever.
No, we're not doing this every day.
Yeah, we're gonna get a studio, right?
In the studio. We're gonna be streaming at you guys from fundamentals to episode. Anyways,
That'd be cool though.
yeah, I'm here with the boys. Right next to me, the man with the plan, the ultimate Nas fan, the mean green. See, he's wearing green today. Green everything too.
Yeah, I'll stand up, man. Stand up. Let me show there.
Do a fit check.
The mean green man from King of Queens. Sorry, the mean green King of Queens. E to the J, and the human calculator with the numerical nomenclature. Raytron Uno Dos Tre.
I don't know if it's that.
And last, but certainly not least, the strongest man in the universe. Oh, no. It makes no sense to
You
do
wanna
it.
do a fit check?
Well, if we check,
No, I want to check now.
the strongest man in the universe.
No, I can't.
Here's a fit check. He who guards the Guardians. Vanguard rides again. All right,
You know what I
guys.
didn't realize?
What?
You can't see the comments.
Yeah, see, that's what I was going to say. That's why I was wondering if we should have like a dual setup.
You have to be able to tune in.
All right. So, how you guys been doing?
That's a great question. How
Oh,
have
wow.
I been doing? Why don't you tell me how I've been doing?
All right. So, Mr. Telfa, if I had to get some fucking psychologist, but I mean, we could talk about what we had a nice time today. We got some ice cream, some food.
Yeah.
Move the fridge.
Oh yeah, it's always good to do a little bit of physical labor.
Manual labor.
Yeah, physical labor.
Physical manual labor.
Physical manual labor, yeah. It's always good to do that kind of stuff. It reminds you that you're a dude, I guess. I don't know. Something about it just feels very grounding, you know?
Yeah.
You know
It's
what
like,
I'm saying?
I am capable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't you think it's a problem though? Why, as a man, you have to feel like you're capable? I want to talk about this. I want to unpack that.
Nah, you took over the psychology. You should have did the leg thing. You should.
Nah, bro, I'm not
You know-
what I used to be.
You know, my mom was making fun of me
Why?
because like she was talking to me, and I was talking to her, and I was like this.
I don't think you can see that
She
though.
was like, "Oh wait, this is off for the audience." I was sitting. Oh man, it's hard.
Nah, I think I can see it when you're that far back.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I was sitting like this, guys. My mom was like, she was like, Giovanni, the way you're so proper, and she was like laughing. And I was like, proper, and I was like, man, put my leg down. Oh man, I think it's because like I had my leg like this, and the way I was talking like that with my hands, like it made me look like I was on a TV show. Then I'm thinking in my head, I was like, oh, it's because we've been doing this shit. That's probably why. That's probably why. I
Practice
acting like
for
that.
Oprah. Just
But yeah. What you been up to, EJ?
Same old. It was a good week at work. Not really nothing different.
Maybe the audience.
Yeah, I've been working out. I guess I've been working out a little
working
bit.
out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what
I've been running more.
Running.
Yeah, man.
Man, running for the birds.
cardio is good for you.
Yeah, you got
Birds don't run. That's what I
I
said.
burn a calorie somehow.
Well, ostriches run.
Yeah, I was about to say some of them do.
I think it's only ostriches though. Because penguins don't run.
What are road runners? What are they actually called?
I have no idea. I think it's a type of ostrich. Or they're little kiwi. Well, I
Well,
guess kiwis can run, right?
well, we'll be back to you guys with this episode of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And
Come on, that's not a fifth grade question. That's at least seventh grade. At least. Now I'm gonna look it up.
Have you been lifting at all?
Now I'm
Nah, I've
curious.
just been doing home workouts. I got like some.
I thought you were about to say homework. I was like, it's working on my mom.
Right. and mental training.
Roadrunner.
Nah, I mean I've been more consistent with the running because it's starting to get a little bit more warmer outside.
Yeah.
And then occasionally I at the house I'll be doing
Bird.
some push-ups as
Yeah,
well.
but what is it called? Like, is it actual name? What do they call it in Coyote Roadrunner? I forgot what they used to call it. Because, Roadrunner, they call them, like, something idioticus or something.
Well, the common name is Roadrunner, right?
Yeah.
The official name is Geococcyx.
Yeah, see, I knew it was something. But they had something.
Geococcyx californianus.
What the fuck?
This is from California.
That's a stupid name. They just keep calling it Roadrunner.
You know Geococcyx, bro?
Geococcyx. Oh, yeah. What, it's spelled with an I or E?
No.
Okay, so fuck it. Fuck it.
It's Geo, bro. It's Roadrunner. It's running on the ground, bro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Geococcyx. Cox.
Yeah.
Geocox. Geocox. No. But, yeah, I mean, I've been having a pretty good time, too. Been working more with the children these days, at my job. So, like, a lot more in the classroom kind of work. Job is pretty rewarding, seeing the kids. They're cute. They're like growing on me. Yeah. That's like because the other girls would always like say these things about the kids, and well, they're just now starting to reach that level. Because there's just one little girl in my class, probably the most adorable little girl on the planet, because she's so fucking tiny, right? Not like that.
No, she's tiny, so you said she's tiny.
Yes, yeah, she's small as hell. No, something real funny. They fucking took off her hat, right? And they're playing with her, the adults, like, 'cause they always love playing with her because her reactions are funny, and she loves giggling. She giggles at everything.
Might be defense mechanism.
Yeah, and then they look
like
at yeah. Now she's alright. She's not like that. When she's shy, she's actually shy, and like she closes in on herself. Her fucking hat had safety pins inside because it's too big for her head.
Oh my god!
And I was like,
That's cute as fuck.
yeah, yeah, that caught me off guard. I was like, oh, you can't be doing that kind of shit. But yeah. What about you?
Shit.
Yeah. What about? Oh yeah. See, same thing in my head. Cartoon shit. What about your job, Ray? How's that been going?
One, it's a job. I clock in, clock out. Nah, I actually just started, so I can't even tell you anything about it because I just started. Like, I literally went there and I sat down and they're like, "All right, for the first week, we want you to read this manual," and that's it. That's all I have to do. I was actually kind of tight because I went in on Monday. No, I went in on Wednesday. To the office. And they're like, "Yeah, this isn't where you're gonna go, but like, if you wanna, you can work here. Like, if you just feel like coming into the office." I was like, "You're not gonna see me in this bitch."
Yeah, nah, I'm good on that one.
Yo, because especially like it's all the way in Queens, bro. I'm not going, waking up, leaving my house just to go to Queens to sit in the office. You're crazy. But I sat there. They gave me my my work laptop and the work phone. And I was like, "So I can go home now? Like, why am I still here?" She's like, "Yeah, just sit down and keep reading your manual." I was like,
You should never ask that. You just got up the left.
bro, I really thought about it. I was like, I should just be like, "Yo, so I can." It's the first day.
You don't want to make a bad impression.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be like make it seem like I'm super lazy. It's just like, bro, like if all I gotta do is read, I'd rather be comfortable. I'd rather be in my house in some comfortable clothes.
Sit back in bed with the bathrobe,
in the bath, just
fucking candles next to you. Fucking bubble bath.
Interesting.
It's like, oh yes.
No, but I just sat there. I was like, this is ass. Though One Piece dropped on that day, so it was a little nice. One Piece is going crazy.
Did you? Oh, you read it?
Yeah, read One Piece.
Oh, yeah.
Read One Piece. Just read it. It's okay. Just read it. Now it's actually going hard, bro. It's going crazy.
And see, that's the thing, right? You keep telling me to read it, and I do want to read it, and I am going to get to it.
1,500 episodes later.
Yeah, I'm going to get to it. But I'm worried.
Bro, I just caught up to the anime, and it's not enough. Literally, I got to the last episode, I was like, that's not it. Come on, there's more, right? I was like, where's the rest?
See, it's cool, but, like, I'm wondering. I know cool shit happens before. Yes. What about the really cool shit?
Now, there's some real cool shit in the... It's just like everything that's been built up is now being executed now.
That Water 7, right? Is it Water 7 arc?
That's like in the middle.
Yeah, I heard that shit fire. And that Alabaster?
That shit's beautiful.
That's always the best when like something's been building up for years and then like they're finally starting to pay off all the crazy shit they were referencing.
Yes.
Because like Venture Brothers started doing that, started paying off on a lot of
Venture.
No, Venture Brothers.
Oh,
Venture.
I was like, this is a new one.
No,
Venture Brothers.
Venture Brothers did that where like a lot of the hints they were dropping throughout the series, you finally find out. Like they stopped hinting. There was like, okay, no more hints. We're gonna actually confirm shit.
Yeah,
now.
basically what One Piece is doing right now. They're like, oh yeah, the scientist that we've been talking about how he's the genius. We finally saw who he was, and he was like, he is indeed a genius.
Nice.
He's indeed a genius.
That's good.
That one character that they've been hyping up his power, he showed up and he was like, I am that guy. And I was like, oh my god, he's that guy.
I'm the guy.
yeah. Except the second scene of that didn't happen.
Yeah,
he proved it. He was like, oh, he is that boy. Put some respect on his name. Oh my god.
That's one thing about animes. They do introductions very well when characters show up and they do something crazy and it's just
I was like, oh, so this is how it's gonna go.
Yeah, superhero comics are like
they used to do them all, but now it's just like I'm gonna beat up Superman and everyone's gonna think I'm super strong. But then Batman's gonna come and beat my ass.
Yeah. But speaking of anime, there was something that I was looking at this like stupid YouTube short thing. And I send these shorts to Ray whenever I see them. It'll be like some character and all their feats, like how powerful they are. And you already know how annoying I'm on those things where it's like, this character's farts can destroy reality. I'm just like, it's like, this character can teleport wherever they want. They can blink and unmake people. They can erase anything. They could open portals anywhere they want. They could make 3,000 duplicates of themselves. I'm just like, okay, so what can't they do? Like, what can't this character do? Why are you making characters like this? Like, I don't know. Why is this fun to people? Like, I've been trying to figure that out. Like, how is this an interesting character?
See, usually in shows or anime like that, it's either a gag, like Psyche K's like that, where like Psyche's like super powerful, right? But he's like, I don't want to do none of that, and he's trying to live a normal life.
Or like One Punch Man, it's part of the premise.
Or every other character can do the same shit, so it's like I can teleport anywhere I want. It's like, so my granny could do that too. Like, I don't care. You're just like, oh.
But in superhero comics, they'll just have these random godlike characters, and they'll just exist. They can't ever fucking use them because they're so powerful. They just exist. And I was like, what was the point of making the character? Like, I mean, like any good writer wouldn't do that shit because it's just like there's this famous playwright, right? I forgot his name, but he used to have this saying where if you were writing a play, right, and there was a gun in one act, it has to be fired by the second act. Meaning you can't just have random shit just lying around. Like it needs to function. It needs to have a function.
Chekhov's gun, right?
Yeah. So it's like just having some random godlike character who's just out there and he just exists for no reason. It just always struck me as dumb. Or like when a character can do these amazing things, but then you're like, but I read the comics and they never do it. It's like you're listing how they could do all this shit on their feats, but they never do it. So what's the point of them having those powers? What's the point? So annoying.
Unless it's a gag where it's like, the whole point is that they're not going to do it.
Exactly. That's part of the joke, you know. But like when you have a character like Superman, who like if I were to show you Superman's power list, that shit could fill up this entire book. The amount of things that he can do, right? The amount of things people made him be able to do, but he never does any of it.
Oh, I was talking to my boy Husto about this, where it's like because comics are so disjointed from each other, and like you can write one and I can write one, it'll be about the same character. Like you might just not have the same list in your head of what this man can do, and I have a different list. Yeah. So if they are like, I'm not even saying they're all bad writers. Like they can be good writers, but it's like, why didn't Superman turn back time like he did in that other comic? And I was like, because I don't think he should be able to do that. That shit's fucking dumb.
Exactly. Yeah. I like it.
Really like that. That's my Superman can't do that.
Exactly. Stop giving me characters these random ass powers that you know they're never gonna use again. Like some stupid Captain Planet shit where he could just do whatever he wanted. Like in Captain Planet, he would just anytime something happened, he would do something and fix it, and he would never do that again. And that's how they write comics now. All their powers are like Deus Ex Machinas and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why Alien X ever came out.
Oh yeah, but that again, he was a gag character. That was the point.
Yeah.
But people are stupid, man. People, I don't understand. So like when I would see those characters were like that godlike character who lives in space and can just do anything, right? You'd see people in the comments like, wow, this character is so cool, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, I don't get it. It's like, what are you, 5? Like, why do you think this is cool? It's like, it's not like the shit you do when you're 5 where you're playing a game with somebody and it's like you're like, okay, here are the powers. I have the power to turn invisible. Someone was like, oh, I have the power to fly, right? And I was like, I got super strength. And one guy's like, I got all the powers. He's like, no, you can't do that. No, no, no. You guys should I can have any powers I want. I have all the powers. Like that. That's what it feels like to me. Oh, look,
He's on the other side.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't even lock my door when you
But,
came in, bro.
Huh?
Y'all didn't lock my door when y'all came in.
I just realized that.
You guys need a mop or something? Because the mud, because it's raining outside?
Yeah.
Nah. Over here. We're live.
Yeah. But anyways, what was I saying?
Just beat that. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, we forgot to lock the door. You're like a fucking idiot. But yeah.
Just see my. We're live now.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be part of it anymore.
I'm in the moderator.
We got another chair. Oh, yeah. But yeah, man. I guess we should move on to the actual topic then. I was about to go off on a tangent about that shit. So anyways. So one of the recent issues, and it was Raytron who made me start thinking about this, right? Like, a lot of people talk about whether or not children should like learn certain things, and one of the most like pressing issues we have is whether or not kids should learn about sexuality and that kind of stuff. And it just got me thinking. It's like, what do you guys think about children learning about like, you know, like say trans issues or sexuality and that kind of stuff?
See, before we even like, I fundamentally believe that children have the capacity to learn a lot more than we allow them to, right? We should start there.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the time, it's more not like they shouldn't learn X, Y, Z. It's more of it's like we should allow them to be able to explore and learn things that they want to learn. Like one little brother, he loved reading. So it wasn't like, wait until you're a third grader before you read books. It's like, my parents just like, okay, we're going to get you as much books as you want to read.
Sounds
right?
like me when I was a kid.
Like, he just likes reading. He likes learning letters. Bro, like, he was like learning other languages. They didn't just like, nah, you got to wait till you're later for that. They was like...
Yeah, but wouldn't that be a little different than like, say, sexuality?
See, I feel like if you have someone there who can like help facilitate and like cut through the fat, because especially with the internet, there's too much information.
Yeah. So
like you can learn about all of the wrong things when you're trying to learn about the right things. And even if I'm talking about like learning languages, you can learn. There's mad people on the internet be like, oh, if you want to tell someone you love them in Spanish, say blah 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 blah, and it's like it actually says eat my ass. Like, like you don't remember those? There's mad of those videos. It's like in Russia we don't say I love you. We say blah, 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 whatever in Russian, and it means
kick me in the nuts.
like, yeah, they'll say kick me in the nuts, but I'm like, and it means I can't be without you for the rest of my life. And it was like, so like you can really sit there and try to learn these languages, or you stumble across the wrong information, and like of any topic, and you just be like learning the wrong shit. So I feel like more so than kids like not learning things, we need practices in place to make sure that they can learn the proper things. You know, it's kind of hard. What is proper information for you to learn, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the crux of the thing. I was wondering what, like for children, like I don't know, EJ, why don't you enter in on this? What do you think is proper information for a child to learn, and improper information?
I don't know. I think it's so easy to access all types of information when you're a kid, and like you're thrusted into these environments, like whether you're in school or if you're like, you know, kids are on the internet much earlier than, you know, for me, like when I was growing up, I wasn't on the internet, but you know, you got kids that's given an iPad. Yeah, like if I was on the internet, I was playing like school games, like computer games and stuff.
Old cool math games, bro.
Fucking RuneScape.
Yeah, so or even being on social media, you know, kids is on there early.
Oh yeah.
So they
I
find
was on social media.
These little kids have fucking tablets and iPhones now.
Yo, bro, don't get me started on that shit, bro. iPad, iPhone, MacBook, desktop. I had a Transformer.
I had one of them robots that teach me Spanish.
I had a Beyblade.
Beyblade, oh, take me back. What were you
Yeah,
gonna
so
say?
now I was gonna say like because of the stuff that they have access to, um, it's easily to get they can easily get brainwashed or manipulated on certain topics like you talked about when it comes to like sexual education or topics on gender, like all that is a lot for a kid to process and like really understand. Even as adults, we're still trying to find ways to understand it ourselves because people have grown up, in a traditional household, and they're not used to how things have advanced progressively. So, just putting that in the kid's mind is a lot. And not saying that they can't learn it. It's just trying to get them to learn it the right way. Um,
I feel like the real issue is what you touched upon. It's like even adults don't understand it.
yeah,
So it's like if like I don't want these kids out here trying to learn anything that we don't know yet. Not like we don't know, but like that we fully don't understand. And I feel it's like a little different than like some kid trying to figure out like one of those like millennium math like things like that, like let them run their
Yeah.
brains ragged or whatever. But like when it comes to those other topics, more social inclined topics,
Yeah.
I feel like it's like save that for later because you are now kind of shaping their like whole foundation.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
yeah,
Right, and so it's like, I'm trying to learn all these social rules that people haven't figured out yet, and then you grow up with these like, whether they're right or wrong, you just grow up with these ideas in your head, and then you go out into society, and society has now dictated that whatever they learned may not be right, and they're like, I'm confused, and like they're a big old age, and it's like, well, yeah, you weren't here with us talking about it because we're talking about this shit now.
Yeah.
So we're teaching this to a very young person. And what we're talking about now, it's going to change next year. It's going to change next week.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, all right, I learned when I was a kid that this is the right rule. And you go out to today and you're like, yeah, we don't do that no more.
Yeah. Yeah, because like these things are very contentious because it's like, so like with something like math, right? Math has had a stable foundation for like the last few decades. Like it's very stable. Radical change does not happen that often in terms of language or science or that kind of stuff, right? But then in these kind of issues, these things are like growing and forming in real time.
Yeah, they're very well
Like,
timed.
yeah. So it's like people are debating about this shit now. So like now, if you try to teach a kid about this, right? All you're gonna do is like you guys said, brainwash them or become biased because you may be on either side of this issue because it's a very polarized issue. Like especially with trans things or anything of that nature, like gender stuff, like or race, like critical race theory, these kind of things. Like all this stuff is like growing in real time, like it's still forming. And it's like
think
it's
about all the stuff
very
we learned when
polarized.
we were young.
Yeah.
And how like it's just not okay now.
Yeah.
Like we were saying a whole bunch of things that like if you said that shit today, they'd be like, yo, what's wrong with you? Who raised you? It's like I was like 6 and we were all laughing at this shit.
Yeah.
You too. You were there with me. And it was like, I would never. It's like, here's the video. Like, what are you talking about?
Remember that person we knew in high school? They're like, oh, you shouldn't call people black or some shit like that. You can't describe people like that. And then the next sentence out of her mouth was describing someone using black as an adjective.
Yeah.
And we're just like, you just did it. And she paused and was like, oh.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you try to be on the high horse, man. You get knocked off.
Yeah.
You get knocked off. But yeah, that's a great point. And that like, because I remember I was just talking about this where in one of my classes, this like controversy. We started talking about that controversy where you know that Muppet? What's that Muppet's name again? Fucking the one with the long beak. Is his name Gozer? Fuck, I forgot. What? No, Gonzo.
Yes.
Gonzo. So Gonzo was in this Muppets movie, and he was wearing a dress, and like I don't even think he was like trans or anything. He just liked wearing dresses, I guess, right? And like,
Bugs Bunny.
yeah, so like they were trying, like it was a whole thing trying to teach you about acceptance, trying to teach kids about acceptance, and parents lost their shit because they're like, oh, why are you guys trying to force these issues on our children, right? So I remember I said in the class, I was like, well, I didn't think it was that weird. Because like I said, I was like, because Bugs Bunny used to wear dresses and shit all the
Bugs
time.
Bunny used to kiss men
I
on
was
the
like,
mouth.
he kiss men and wear dresses. He was very.
And I had never once thought that nigga was gay.
Yeah, I never thought he was gay. I just thought it was some funny thing he was doing. And I was like, it is kind of. I was like, I guess teaching kids to be accepting is not that bad. I was like, as long as you're not trying to teach them to like like this is the way, like like this is real masculinity, and you're showing a guy in a dress, like that would be fucking weird.
Yes. I never understood that because it's just like, wait, if this is real masculinity, you're saying that everything else is not.
Yeah, I mean there.
That's the thing about like when you say it, right?
Yeah.
Where like, because like people will try to question these things and they're like immediately shut down as you're trying to like be some sort of sexist whatever ist, and it's like nah, I'm just trying to figure this out because if you're saying XYZ that means 1 2 3, and they never want to hear that other part. They're like, well, you're saying this then. It's like that's not what I'm saying. It's like, but it is. That's the point. Like if you're saying this is real,
you're saying everything else isn't.
Yeah. And like that's kind of the argument that they're coming to you at anyway. It's like where you being like a super muscular macho going to the gym, that's not real masculinity, or like that's fake masculinity. It's like, is that not masculinity at all then? Like you can't do that? Like if a guy just likes going to the gym and working out, what? He's a little bitch?
Yeah, they make fun of you. They act like something's wrong with you. Like, people try to shame you.
They're like,
who hurt you?
It's like, I just like going to the gym, bro.
But it's like, specifically in that situation with Gonzo, I said the only thing I thought was weird about it, I was like, you know, if I knew someone who wore dresses when I was younger, I was like, we would have called them names. I was just honest. I was like, it's just like it was something we thought was weird and silly when we were younger. And I was like, I don't think like that now, but that's how I thought when I was a kid. I was like, it's just the generation I came from.
We would probably called that person names for like a week, and if they kept doing it, we would have got over it. It was like,
we'd have realized
we're gonna move on. That kid fell off the swing. Like it's his turn.
Yeah. Because the thing is, I was saying to the person, I was like, even if you want to like have like kids in dresses, like many kids have done like dressing up and cross-dressing things as babies.
Yeah, bro.
Right? It's something kids will do. They'll fucking put on their mom's heels and that kind of shit, like male children.
Because they're just like, these are shoes. These are weird shoes.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't, it's not tied to it. Anything.
Or put on their mom's makeup and shit just because it's funny to them. They're like,
oh, I saw mom wearing this. I'm going to do it. So
I'm my mom, right? And I said, they were like, oh, but why does it have to be a phase? That's what my teacher said to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I was like, from my perspective, this kind of shit's weird, man. I was like, I was just dead honest. I was like, the generation I came from, this kind of stuff wasn't normal yet.
Also, like, even if it's not a phase, let them decide that.
That's the part. That's the part where I'm like, we definitely don't have to be teaching these kids this kind of stuff now. Like, because they're like, oh, they have to know this stuff exists. They know already, bro. TikTok exists, okay? TikTok exists. We see that shit all over TV. Every fucking cartoon has it. You know, every fucking TV show has its obligatory. Well, every TV show and cartoon these days has to have the obligatory non-binary
and kids pointing things out. Like, they don't hold their tongue. Like, they see something that looks remotely off to them. They're like, hey, what's that? Or like, what? You look funny. Like, why are you wearing that? Like, you know what I'm saying? There isn't no like.
Bro, honestly, if a kid walked up to you, so you were wearing a dress and a kid walked up to you and like you don't look good, it wasn't even the fact that you were wearing a dress. It's why you just wearing it wrong. It's
it wasn't.
You got a bad dress,
it wasn't even because his parents told him like, oh, if you see somebody like that, like, look at them in this manner.
Oh yeah.
It's just like they not used to seeing that, so it's just.
It's funny
it looks odd to them, and because it looks odd, they don't know how to like. They don't know how to just not say something, like how to. They feel like they have to address it.
Yeah. It's funny you mention that because when I was a little kid, my mom used to work in this beauty salon, and one of the guys there, he was like gay, I guess, right? But he was like the one who used to play with me, right? Like play with me the most in the shop. Well, because he's another man. The women, ignoring me, right? But like
as a kid, how old?
Well, I was like a little kid, and like running around the shop, right? Yeah. And like he's playing.
They
with
don't got that energy, bro.
Yeah. So like the women would ignore me, but he's the one running around with me and like that kind of stuff. I remember one day I said to him, apparently, my mom said that she was so embarrassed. I looked at her and I was like, "Why do you act like a girl?" I think I just randomly asked him that question.
But that's a kid's honest attempt to understand.
I wasn't trying to do that.
No, you just said that shit. It was like, hey, I just popped in my mandula, bro. Like,
you act like that. And then my mom, I don't think he answered the question. My mom was just like, I'm so sorry. And he was just like, it's okay. He was understanding. He realized that
this is just what the kids do.
Nowadays, fucking the person probably would have looked at my mom and be like, you need to do better. And walk away.
Oh my god.
Or I remember one time this woman, my sister, this was her being a dick. And
your sister evil, bro.
My sister was a little girl, little baby. Some woman walked down with this like spiky kind of hair. It was like these spiky twists. My sister looks at her and goes, ha ha ha. It looked funny. They're like, ah, she looked funny. Oh, look, she looked funny. That shit was so embarrassing, man.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and the woman did look, oh, I don't remember that well, but I think in the moment I was scared. And I was also a little kid. I'm like, man, she gonna make this crazy woman beat us up. I mean,
Now she a crazy woman too.
yeah, I thought she was crazy too. But man, that was so funny, man. The ha ha ha. You have to look how she did it. It was big ass, loud ass laughing. The ha ha ha.
Well, I think the
She
worst
looked
thing
funny.
my little brother I've seen him do is I was talking to my driving instructor. My mom was like talking to him too. We were across the street. My aunt walked him across the street because he wanted to be with my mom, right? Like, he got to a certain point, he ran up to my mom, grabbed her leg, and then punched the guy. He just punched him. Because in his mind, it was just like, this person is, like, taking my mom from me. I don't like that punch. It was just like, these are just things that kids will do. They literally do not know no better.
Imagine the guy pushed your mom and was like, yo, square up, little nigga.
Now, he was, like, obviously, he was understanding. He's like, oh. He's like, he literally looked at me, he's like, I guess I'm taking too much of your time. Because, like, it didn't hurt. He probably didn't feel it. He's like,
He gets home later, he's like, damn, that kid really packed.
that'd be an anime. He's like, oh, he has potential.
But so I mean, so specifically, like, okay, what kind of issues, Ray, or not issues, but what kind of things, Ray, do you think children should be allowed to explore and learn?
Personally, it's probably like,
It's a case
the
by
more-
case basis, man.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it's like,
Well, like, think
but
of
like,
like the
so, like, I
general
gotta,
consensus,
for this, I gotta come up with some sort of contained idea.
Like, what do
It's
you
kinda
think is
hard.
like the
I want to say more of the scholarly pursuits,
Yeah,
right? Like math, science, arts, stuff like that.
yeah,
Because, like, I feel like there are a lot of mistakes that can be made and things that can be learned that do not affect their development in, like, their social aspects.
yeah,
Where it's like, if you just really like math or you really like the arts or anything,
yeah.
it's not going to determine how well you are able to converse with your fellow man, right? I feel like that's the issue, where it's like, when you're like teaching them these ideologies or whatever. And I mean, I don't even mean like strictly LGBT,
Yeah.
trans, racial, whatever. I mean all of it. Like, even if you're super straight and you're teaching your kids how about super straight, it's
How
like,
to be a man.
yeah, that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like that shit either. Because, like, a lot of the times they come off with these weird ideologies, and kids exaggerate shit to the extreme, bro.
I mean,
This one guy, he hit the gym all the time, and he'd be talking down to people, and it's like, nigga, we get it. Your dad lifts. You lift with your dad. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Like he had this, like, this way about him. It's just like, it was just a turn off to people. It's like, yo,
complex.
it's not even like, I care that you do what you do. It's just you are annoying about it.
Yeah, because it's like, as an adult, right? You can, because even like the red pill stuff, right? Like, I kind of encountered that stuff when I was young, but I guess I was just not retarded. So, like, I was able
Can't say
to
that no
pick,
more.
I was able to pick and choose what seemed to make sense and what didn't make sense.
Mhm.
Like, I was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. This doesn't make sense. This kind of makes sense. Like, as an adult, you have a lot more power to do that because your judgmental faculties are a lot more
Who are
developed.
you to say what
Right.
you picked was right?
No, but I'm just saying, like, when you're learning about something, it's a little different in how you consume the information. But when you're a kid, like you said, you kind of absorb it as if it's just like in this
Like,
very
this is true.
gung ho, this very gung ho kind of way. It becomes a religion for you.
Mhm.
It's like when you try to teach kids stuff, like if you try to teach a kid how to be a real man, right? And you're teaching him all these like stupid, stereotypical masculine traits. He's gonna take that shit and start walking forward, trying to act like an action movie character.
He's
in
gonna
real
act
life.
like what's his
Yeah.
name? Patrick Bateman?
Yeah, oh yeah, he's gonna start trying to act like Patrick Bateman or fucking Sylvester Stallone or something, you know? And it's like
Well, not the real people, like the characters that they were in those movies, not
characters
stuff.
that were in those movies, yeah. He's gonna start trying to be like Rocky in real life.
We know a guy like that. Like, he would literally look at like male figures on movies, TV,
try to
and he would emulate them in real life. And we thought that guy was goofy.
Yeah, we thought that was weird. We'd always point out that
And
was...
it's not even that we thought the characters were. We were like, oh, that's a cool guy, and you start acting like that guy. And it's like, not you though.
Yeah,
not you.
Gotta leave it in the film, man.
It's like, yeah, it's like there may be aspects of the character that are cool, but one, a lot of these characters are tragic. Like most characters and everything are tragic. People like tragic characters. So like, it's very rare that you're gonna see a character that's 100% a good role model you should copy. Like it's very rare. Like that does not happen very often. They try to give characters flaws on purpose, right? So like trying to just model yourself after other people is dumb. because those people have their own flaws and things about their ideologies that don't make any sense. So like, you know, that's why trying to teach a kid something so as if it's so static is dumb, because the kid won't be able to grow beyond that, or they'll be forced to grow beyond it in like a very tragic or catastrophic way, like something really bad happens. Like let's say the kid learns how to be a real man, right? And then he goes and he does something stupid and he ends up in jail. And then he's in fucking jail and he realizes all that shit his father taught him was dumb. But then he had to give up all those years of his life just to learn that one lesson, when that could have been avoided had you let him make his own decisions and evolve into a man himself. Yeah. Yeah, that kind of shit happens all the time.
So, yeah, I think the consensus for me specifically is just like I said, academic pursuits, I have no business of them like really stumbling and falling and figuring out what they're gonna do. But when it comes to like the more social stuff, it's like take a back seat, observe everything, kind of. But like when you like say specifically a parent or teacher is like, all right, this is this, because like, you'll be like, this is,
Yeah.
and like they'll take that shit to heart. This is, and because like even look at it now, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is stuff that we're unlearning because our parents taught us that it was wrong or it was right. And we literally are sitting here at this day and age undoing all that shit. So for us to just say that we are automatically much better than our parents who thought they were better than theirs, and so on and so forth, it just is goofy.
That's like, yeah, it's like common cycle, you know? The next generation thinks they know better than the previous generation. Each generation does that. And then like what ends up happening is you get a little older and you look back and you're like, you know what? My parents actually, there were some things they were probably right about. Like, it's like
Yeah.
I was dismissing them too quickly, you know?
But there's things they were wrong about, but there was definitely things they were right about.
Yeah.
Because like they at least are in the world, so there are truths that they have stumbled upon.
And I think that's the other thing, because it's like, this becomes like a sort of like a liberty issue, because parents are like, I should be the one teaching my kids about, you know, social maneuvering and social standing and that kind of stuff. That's my job. You know, it's like your job is to be academic. Your job is in the academic field. You're not here to teach my kid how to be a good person. Like, it's not your job. You know, like you guys
Why
are
not?
just teachers. I mean, well, the reason why not is because, like, come on, man. Like, we had a lot of teachers. Weren't those motherfuckers good people? Some of them,
yeah, I was
some
some of them.
but a lot of them were not. Like, they
Yeah.
could not teach us shit, you know, of being good people, right? So, like, trying to trust the system to teach your to
We don't
teach
trust
children.
them to teach us the things that we trust them to teach us.
Exactly. So like, yeah, it's like that's a big thing. It's like the parents are like, I should be the one teaching my kids. And then wait, there was something you said. You just reminded me of. It's like, fuck, where was I going with that?
I don't know.
Teaching parents. Shit, I lost it. It was right there.
Check your pocket.
Damn, I lost it. It was like something about the kids and the parents.
Well, until you remember, because I know there are some places that do try to teach at least some level of ethics to like kindergarten kids, and it's nothing like too grandiose. It's stuff like all right, clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be like obnoxious in public. It's like you can have conversations, but it's like all right, we're inside. Use the inside voice. We're outside.
yeah.
Use the outside voice.
Yeah, like,
Wash your hands. Oh, you made a mess. Clean it up. Like this stuff
yeah, it's
like
like
that.
you guys have no business looking at a kid and telling him, yeah, you cannot talk to a woman this way or do this or do that. Like, these are dumb things. Because like you said, one of these rules are changing. Then you're going to teach kids, because like a lot of guys talk about this actually, right? Where you learn how to communicate with women, right? And you're taught that you're supposed to communicate with women in this very like clean cut kind of way or whatever. Then you go through like doing that shit, and then women start calling you corny or start pointing out that you were kind of being a pussy back there. You're just like,
Oh yeah.
What?
You
Yeah.
definitely learned that shit early on. Like
You're like,
you're
wait.
acting a certain way, and then they're like, "Why are you acting like that? I wanted you to do X, Y, Z." And it's like,
it's like, but that everyone else was telling me that I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
So it's like this idea that you're gonna teach people how they have to operate as a good person. It comes from a place of like moral superiority, as if
also,
you have it all
I don't
figured
like
out.
that we should. I don't think we should be treating each other as we're that different. Because the whole point is like we're not that different.
Yeah.
So in the past we're teaching X, Y, Z. In the future we're teaching this. Like these are the differences, and it's like, are we even that different in the first place? And now we're like, it's just putting it. If you got to put it in schools, I mean, you have to put labels on everything. You have to define everything. You will have to put up hard barriers on things. Like,
And
that's just the only way. Like, we can't learn about it if there is no, like, all right, this is, right? Like, if there is no, this is blank, I can't learn about it.
yeah, and it's not like these people are 100% qualified to do any of this stuff. Like, how are you qualified to teach me about my sexual identity? It's my sexual identity, right?
Too,
Whatever.
right? And, like, everyone would have their own biases, right? Because,
Yeah.
like, there's some people who's like, I'm strictly a straight person, but they will fuck people who have penises.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying anything wrong with it. It's just more like, but is that straight?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
And I guess like I need to clarify. I was talking because I was talking as a man
as a
in
dude,
that situation.
Yeah, because it's like these things, like we said, they're developing them as they go on. Like these are a still developing field.
Mm-hmm.
So like there are no hard rules yet for what they're developing because it's still developing. You know. But what about you, EJ? You have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna say that when it comes to kids like being taught this stuff, I think there's nothing wrong with simply presenting them the information. I think where it gets kind of to be too much is when you tell them what to do with that information, or you try to advise them.
Can you check if it's okay?
You try to advise them on what to do, where it's no longer you just presenting information, but you're giving them advice. You're trying to shape them. You're trying to mold them. You're trying to get them to become this certain type of person.
Yes.
That's when you stepping out of bounds. But because like there's a lot to life. There's a lot that goes on. As time progresses, there are new things that we have to learn. So I think everybody should have the right, even kids, if they have an interest in questioning what is something, they should be allowed to, get an answer on that, like what that is.
Right.
But then when you start bringing your biases into it, as you were saying earlier, and you start telling them, oh, like you should be this type of person, you should be that type of person, this is what you should do in a situation when you encounter this type of person,
Yeah.
that is kind of like more left open to interpretation, and it gets kind of subjective.
Yeah.
But if you're just explaining to somebody what something is, that's coming from a completely objective standpoint.
Mhm.
It's just like holding up a symbol, and I'm pointing to the symbol, and it's like, all right, what is that? So I think that's a safe realm to be in. Also, when you're talking about rules like washing your hands, using your inside voice or using your outside voice, and that's really just explaining how society functions. That's not you putting your own spin on things. That's just like, these are the things you can expect. These are the rules. This is what you should know. This is when you come into that, or when it comes into contact with you, this is like what you can expect.
Yeah.
Because giving somebody an outline is not necessarily shaping them. It's just an outline, and it's the outline that society is ran on. It's that social contract that we all agree to. When we use the bathroom and walk out, even though some people don't. It's wash your hands, or when you go to somebody's place, they have their own way, their own rules. Like, so there are things that kids should be aware of as far as like how to navigate. But you don't necessarily have to go past that point and start giving them advice or counseling them.
Yeah.
That's more left open to professionals or somebody that's in a position to do that. But if we're talking about like a teacher, like, nah, you're there to go into depth on the academic side of things.
Yeah.
That's why they even say with like lawyers, like, the reason why they have a license is because they could give you advice on cases.
Yeah.
Like, if you take this to court, this is the outcome. They're licensed to do that. If I'm a random person and you give, and let's say I know a bit about the law, and you feel comfortable, sharing with me the details of your case, I could tell you what I read upon and what I know, but I'm not really in a position to give you advice. I'm not in a position to tell you, oh, go to court and do this and that. Take the 10 years or
like that video.
yeah, like take 10 years or nah, fight it. Like, that's those are professionals.
Yeah.
They went to years of school so they could give you, even though it's still subjective, a more professional opinion.
So it's like in your social life, like,
Yeah.
You're the one that has to be trusted to go through those things and learn those things
Yeah.
on your own. You shouldn't get those like rules.
You
and
should the
stipulations.
concept should still be defined to you, but as far as like what to do with that, like if you want to incorporate it into your own life, if you want it to become you, that's not something a teacher should give you, guide you on. If anything, if a kid comes to a teacher with those kind of questions, they should refer them to someone else, like a parent, or if their parent, is not someone that is able to, because let's say they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Parents don't have the answers to it all.
Yeah.
Let's say they never came into contact with this ever before.
Yeah.
You could refer them to somebody like, a counselor or a mentor or somebody that's more understanding. That's,
Yeah.
more, even though like it all gets subjective, they're at least in a better position to tell you something.
Yeah.
So just go to the professionals. That's what I said.
Yeah, it's funny because shit, I lost it again. Yeah. Wait, well, fuck. It was right there too.
Tired man.
You said something about, I think it was a counselor thing.
Referring to someone else. That.
It was someone else. What was it? You just reminded me of something.
Nah. Well,
Like see a therapist or something,
Well, I have a question because what if something like a situation is unfolding right now? Like two kids are beefing over something, they have some sort of disagreement, and they turn to you as a teacher. Should you just be like, y'all gonna have to ask your parents? Can they not offer at least any advice or an ear or something?
I mean, as an adult, more often than not, like in most cases, depending on the type of person you are, you know more than a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know more than a kid. You've been on Earth longer. You probably came across this kind of experience. So a kid should feel comfortable with speaking to an adult about something that an adult would know the answer to. But when you start like a situation like that where they get into a fight or a conflict and they have to go to a teacher for advice on that, it could end badly. Could end badly because you tell them, oh, defend themselves or don't tolerate that or snitch on them or do this or that. Like a parent might not agree with that, So that's why like even when you work with kids, it's like, and you have to discipline them, whether you're a babysitter, whether you're just somebody in school, it's kind of tough because parents want their kids to be raised a certain way. So and like who are we in a position to like get in the middle of that?
All right, I got a question for you because just about that scenario, right?
Yeah.
So you're babysitting somebody, like a person, and they get into a fist fight with some kid. And like the parents told you, it's like, hey, if my kid gets into a fight, don't say anything because I want them to do that shit. And then you see them get into a fight, you're like, do you be like, yo, bro, like, do you tell them that wasn't worth it? Do you tell them like, yo, bro, we don't fist fight people over that? Like, what are you doing?
That's tough.
Well, I'm not agreeing to that in the first place.
Because like as a person that's supposed to watch the kid and they tell you something that's like an ideology in itself, right? Like,
yeah,
he's like, I want my kid to stand up.
You want, and like let's say you don't agree, that's not your method of conflict resolution, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't agree with that, but you still have a job to do. It isn't your job to challenge somebody's ideology.
What I'm saying is like, so you watch this kid just like I don't mean like the kid just wants to go out fist fighting. His dad's like, yeah, I like my kid boxing other kids. So like if my kid's getting bullied, like, and they like throw their hands or whatever, it's like the parent thinks that's what they're supposed to do. That's how you stand up for yourself.
The thing is, you have to break it up because of the safety of the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've given you two conflicting things.
Yeah.
You're supposed to keep the kid safe, but they want you to let the kid fight. No, I'm not letting the kid fight. I'm gonna pull the
You
kid
break
out.
it up. You get home. The dad's like, "What you doing, bro? I wanted you. You broke up the fight. He's winning."
I'm like, you know what? I quit. I was like,
Yeah.
you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You're an
I'm like,
idiot.
yo, I'm gonna need my time, and you
Yeah.
have to find
I was like, that's a guy that's gonna get you in trouble.
You don't get you in a
That's
lot of
stupid.
trouble.
You're gonna go to jail.
Like you sitting there watching kids fight, the other parents like, "What did you do?" He's like, "I was told to watch."
To not do anything.
Now you definitely gotta take that initiative where it's like somebody, even if they're a parent and that's what they advise, and it's just it doesn't make any sense or they're wrong in how they believe.
Who are you to say that they're wrong?
I mean, like I'm not raising the kid, but I am in that moment. You paying me to do that, and I ain't trying to go to jail. So that's gonna take priority over whatever you tell me that on how to handle your kid. Like after that day, I probably won't work for you again because I don't want to be in these conflicts. I don't want to deal with that.
Same.
So if somebody is like, whether you're not even just a babysitter, like if you working for someone where like constantly your ideologies is clashing with theirs, it probably isn't somewhere you should be. Like sometimes you could just ignore it and be like, I'm here to collect this check. But there's gonna be other times where it's like it puts a strain on you.
Yeah, like if it's
it's gonna risk your life and you could end up going to jail for it.
Yeah, if it's too severe.
Yeah.
You can't like if it's to a point where you can't coexist, right? Like if you work for a guy who, like, let's say you're a black woman, and every day this guy's like, them fucking black women, and he's going on and on, like, you're not gonna be able to work something like that. Like,
So not you though. You want to go?
like that'd be a weird place to work.
Yeah,
It's a completely hostile work
Like,
environment.
here's my 1 day notice.
Or if he says something like I hate people that have pets and you got mad pets in the crib, but he don't know that. You can go to work every day. He not gonna know you have
that's
pets in your
different.
crib.
Yeah, that's
You know what I'm
like
saying? So y'all
Or would you
ideologies
sit there,
don't align.
say you are that guy with mad pets, and they talking all this smack about people who own pets. You want to sit there and just work there, or would you get up and leave?
I mean, I don't care that much about that.
Yeah.
I was in. Say, say you were remote then. Like say you're a remote worker and your boss keeps going off on black people. You gonna stay working there?
See, that's a different thing.
Black-
They are constantly talking all this shit about colored people.
Yeah.
You are a colored
It's
person.
different though.
You're remote.
He know you're black though. You know what I'm saying? He
'Cause
know
then-
you're
But I'm
black.
saying, like, what if they don't know you're black
Yeah,
because you're remote? Like you
yeah.
just never turn your
Oh.
camera on.
Because the thing is, then I'd be worried about, like, yo, like, could this become a problem in the future? Like, even if he's just saying stuff for now,
Yeah.
I'm like, how long does it take until this starts affecting, like, the workflow? Next thing you know, I'm getting more work than everybody else because I'm black, and he's trying to swamp me with work on
You
purpose.
should already
So you don't leave.
You should already
Yeah.
be on LinkedIn looking to go somewhere else.
I probably wouldn't leave, like, rashly, like, right away, but like you said, I'd be preparing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, let me, you know, the computer.
Damn those colored.
Yeah, that's like, because there has to be an Overton window, right? There has to be a level that you're willing to accept, and there has to be like an
Yeah.
extreme level that you cannot tolerate, right?
Mhm.
You have to have that in order to live in life. You have to have boundaries, you know, and that's why even with kids, right? Like in regards to, like, let's say sexuality or anything or issues, people will say stuff like, "Oh, kids are a lot more capable of learning than you would think." Well, no, there has to be a clear, like, cutoff. You know, like, there are certain things that children should not learn about. Like, there has to be. There's just, like, you should not be showing kids
But it's
probably
but it's like these kids grow up. Some of these kids grow up in households where some of these people are not just, they're simply not good parents. They're not raising them the right way.
yeah, but that's not a good thing.
yeah.
We don't have to emulate.
I didn't say it was good. I didn't say it
No,
was good.
finish off.
No, I was saying that
Yeah.
because of that, because of those circumstances that they in, like teachers have to deal with you know kids that are a product of that, like product from the households that they're raised in,
Yeah.
and like you would look at a teacher giving advice to a kid, and you could look at what they told them and be like, it wasn't wrong, you know what I'm saying? Like what they said is they're actually helping them become a better person. They're just not entitled to do that. Like that's not the role or the position that they were hired to play. Like they're supposed to be kind of removed from that. But like when you seeing the kids go to school every day of the week, you know what I'm saying? You grow an attachment to this person. You want them to excel, and not just in the classroom, but outside the classroom. Like remember when I sent you that video where you was talking about how like they come here for football, but we're trying to raise men. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of these people come into these schools or these environments where like they're not really a good person. You know what I'm saying? And they have to look for that in a counselor or somebody outside their own family that could do that for them.
Well, and even then, there's like probably like a level, right? Like advice
Yeah,
you would
because-
give, advice you wouldn't give.
Because you're not supposed to get that invested because it becomes unprofessional.
Yeah.
It's like
Like telling him, maybe like telling a kid, like, you know, like you probably shouldn't treat your sister like this or something like that. Like that's very generic
yeah.
advice that anyone would
Yeah.
give. That probably the father, but that's
Like
something.
in the long term, they be better off.
Yeah.
But for you in your present case, if that's your job, that's your livelihood,
Yeah.
you risking that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a part of you that wants to look out for yourself and not worry about this other person. But they're a kid, they're young, they're innocent. You know, they still trying to figure out how to grow up, how to become a good person. So you can kind of like you could feel for them. You know what I'm saying? You could be sympathetic towards that.
Yeah.
But it's not your job. Like you kind of got to remove
I mean,
yourself.
Well, no, wait, because what about in that scenario?
Yeah.
There are still parents that are bad, right?
Yeah.
So even if we do leave it up to the parents, like, aren't the teachers and administrators just as likely to worry about? It's like I know that all these parents are like not that great, especially like there's specific schools for that. Like in my job, we literally have a school for the foster kids because a lot of their parents are not fit parents, so they end up in the foster system or whatever reason they end up in the foster system.
Yeah.
It's like we can't trust that aspect to their parents because for like they live here, like we are their parents at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So
I mean, that's what I would say.
A
Like,
lot of teachers was raised like they looked at them as father figures or motherly figures because that was the most counseling they ever got. You know,
I mean,
they never sat down with their parents and had conversations.
well, that's where I would say, like, then there's like certain kinds of advice, right? Where it's like, generic things like treating people with a certain level of respect, not being a dickhead, and even if you want to get into like not being like a misogynist kind of things, like not don't treat women as if they're lesser than you, like those kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? These are like acceptable, very generic kind of like societal advice, like how to operate in
But
society.
even if it touches within that, like even if it's in a range of acceptable, like everybody would agree,
Yeah.
all right, don't discriminate, don't put somebody down.
Yeah.
But let's say they come from a household where that's all the parent does. They put certain kinds of people down, and they don't want their kid to be learning that.
Yeah, what I'm saying is though, the point is, we as a society have these agreed upon values that we use to operate, right? Or at least in theory we do, right? And like it's like Jordan Peterson in his book, he mentions that one of the reasons why you have to discipline your kids is so they can learn how to operate in society, so that they're well liked, and that people will like them and like to have them around. Because like if you don't socialize them correctly, they're gonna be antisocial and they're gonna have a very unhappy life. So he's like, you gotta socialize them correctly. So I would say like these like very generic kind of societal rules of how to operate makes sense for you to kind of step in and help a kid with that kind of stuff. But then like there are probably things outside of that place, where like if you're like the coach giving some kid relationship advice, that's where it's kind of weird. You're kind of going into like
what if they have no one else to go to?
Yeah,
What if they really fuck with coach, bro?
But they lean. That's what I'm saying. They lean on these people for that.
Well, that's
type
where
of stuff,
that's
that
where
kind
it
of
becomes like a
information.
case by case kind of thing.
It's like if it's just that one kid.
Yeah.
What if the whole football team is like, yo, we heard you were the man back in the day. What's
Now,
up?
that's where it becomes a problem. You don't want to be giving out mass relationship advice before one of the kids takes your advice, goes and does it wrong. Then when his dad asks him why you did that, like he gets in trouble.
Yeah.
It's like
coach said you just got grabbed by the pussy.
and it's like, oh,
Because even if
God.
it's acceptable
what I
form of
said.
Yeah.
it's still wrong because like they're not hired to do that. Like go to a therapist, refer them to someone else.
Yeah.
Like it puts them in an awkward position. Like that's I don't know the written rules of being a Department of Education teacher or nothing like that, but
You think the rules?
I don't know.
They're not clearly defined.
They're not clearly defined.
There are
rules.
rules.
Yo, you got a pulse?
There are rules, but it's like stuff like
That's
that
the
would be
rule.
part of it. You're not supposed to be talking about your political beliefs or anything. with kids.
But it's like you feel for them and you want them to lead a good life.
Right.
And,
Joking aside.
and they clearly not getting that from
Well, it's funny about
their household.
Funny about the political beliefs thing. I remember I had this instructor for this job, and it's so funny how ironic this was. He's telling us about how on the job we cannot share our political beliefs, as he's going on and on about his political beliefs during the course where he's teaching us. I remember thinking in my head, I was like, "Yo, this is
what you gonna do?
Yeah,
Who you gonna tell on? Him?
yeah. I was like, this is so funny. I was like, well, he's contradicting himself. He's telling us how dangerous it is, but he's doing it here.
But I feel the real issue is I don't feel like any adult should really be forcing any ideologies upon these children. But if they reach out, you should, as an adult, be able to at least help them. Like, look, man, maybe I don't have all the answers, but for example, it's like, look, man, first things first, just don't be a dick. I don't know what you and that person was doing, what happened, but first rule, be kind, try to understand what's going on, and then if that person really showing their ass, then you can just not like him. It's okay to not like that nigga.
Yeah, you should always give like very simple advice.
Yeah.
Like that's what you should strive for. If you're gonna give advice in general, to be honest, like people get mad when you give very simple advice, but simple advice works best.
Simple advice is the answer,
Yeah,
bro.
you
It's
don't
like it's
need to
not
obfuscate.
that.
Yeah, you don't need to
You
obfuscate things.
just don't want to risk your job as a result of doing that.
Exactly.
Because like it's like I don't want to say it's not worth it. Like some people are so attached to a person that they don't mind risking their job for it. But a lot of people care about their situation. So you got a good situation going on. You don't want to risk it. And I counted that at work. Like there's plenty of times guys come to me, sharing their personal life and their personal stories. I'm just an employment guy, so I just try to, if I try to not even engage in those conversations, but they want to be heard. They in a facility where they They didn't really know when they could talk
So
to.
what do you do in that scenario? You just get very
Nah, I just
simple
listen.
advice?
I just listen, and then if they ask, I'm just like, look, man, I can't really tell you much. Like, I can't really, like, that's not my job here. Like, I bring it back to a formal, a formal, professional way of being like, look, this is, I don't want to like have this conversation.
Have
You
you
know what I'm
ever
saying?
given advice to someone at work?
If I ever given advice, it was like you said, very simple, very to the point. Like, look, man, I don't know you, I don't really know this person that you're talking about, but you know, um, just do what you think best. Do what's in your heart.
I say that shit all the time. Do what you think is best.
Yeah,
I say that shit all the time to
yeah,
people. Because you don't know a person's specific situation. So then you
Yeah.
might give them some very specific advice.
yeah, man.
And you ruin their lives.
It's like,
It's a good way to
yeah,
think safe.
man. You told me I should like start running to work, but I live next to this highway. Nah, you didn't tell me that part. Wait, you shouldn't be running across the highway.
It's like, yeah, man, my legs are broke. Yo.
You should
But-
just run across the street.
but-
He's like, I didn't know it was a highway.
It's like, oh my
Because
God.
even if I think it's flat out wrong, when they telling me it's dumb, doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm not in a position to coach them, educate them. Like, that's
I
not
ain't
me.
got that license yet.
Yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
because before we
Ain't
move
allowed
on,
that perk.
Facts.
there's something funny that relates to this. Where in my class, the teacher was reading this book, and she's reading the book, and in the book, there's a part where the guy saved up like a lot of money, and then just like left and started hitchhiking across the country. And she's like reading that part of the book, and then she goes, "Don't do that to the kids." And it continues because it's like because she really didn't want the kids to like read that and like think it was so romantic and be like, "Oh wow, I should do that," and then go uproot their lives and try to hitchhike across the country. Especially because our class is mostly a bunch of girls. A girl doing some shit like that, she can end up dead. I mean, a guy can end up dead too.
Yes,
But
chances are.
yeah, she's probably gonna end up dead more likely than the
Man,
dude.
if I start hitchhiking across the country, you're not gonna hear from me again.
Man, I
Fuck
was
around, get lost.
fucking lost in Mississippi or some shit. It's like,
He was like, I don't know which way is left, bro.
you walk up to a car like, hey, could you guys tell me which way is like? I don't know where I'm going. They're like, go back the way you came, boy. You're like, oh, I fucked up.
Like a title card is like, bad end.
Like that's what happens. Title card plays. You're just like,
It's like game over.
no. He's like, you go back the way you came, boy. You died. You died.
Oh, it's like, shucks.
You can't even be mad about it, right? It's like it was your fuck up. Like, what the fuck was I thinking walking around and
I wasn't high enough level yet. I was wandering unequipped.
But all this talk about like general acceptable advice and how as a society we have like a framework that we operate within. It got me thinking about something we spoke about a while ago about this idea of how like there doesn't seem to be a sense of community anymore,
Yeah,
especially like in this country. I feel like
yeah.
so it's like I feel like we do generally speaking have these like rules we all follow, but if there's no community, like do we actually have these general rules?
It's more like it's like this is the common area, and like we'll like do some common area shit. But the second you get in your room, you start acting like a weirdo. And everyone's house is their own individual room where they all have these very specific individual rules. And like when you get older, you start not caring about not showing people your individual rules. So like gets to the point where you get a certain age, you're just like, this is the shit I do in my house. I don't care about y'all. I'm gonna do the shit I do in my house. I'm here. And everyone's doing that, and everyone's looking at each other like, what the fuck is that? Type shit.
I feel like social media kind of led to the rise of that, really. Because
People
like,
are too comfortable on that.
yeah, people do some crazy shit on social media, and like they'll say some shit
They're
that
telling too many stories. I was like, I shouldn't know that about you.
yeah, the shit that they think is normal. Like, look at the date thing, where that girl exposed her whole date on the internet like that. Like that's weird, and then that kind of muddies things, right? Because like we had these general rules, like for example, on dating, right? Generally speaking, people dated in this specific kind of way. It's like the man, you go on a date with a dude. The dude invites you for the date. He pays for things, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But then because the rules have become so muddied now, right? It's like you don't know, like, what she thinks, what stupid TikTok got in her head, and now she has this dumb thing she thinks is a red flag. And you don't know. You're walking into
The
nowhere.
red flags, the red flags are crazy.
You're walking into fucking, what's it called? No man's zone. You don't know what rules are in effect now. It's like the rules.
You never
change.
know who you're on the date with. It's like, should I offer to pay or should I not offer to pay?
Exactly.
If I offer to pay, is she gonna think I'm a misogynist? Or if I don't offer to pay, she gonna think I'm a misogynist? Because either way, you're a misogynist.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Like, how fucking dare you?
Yeah,
Think I couldn't pay? What, you think I'm broke?
Yeah, it's like fucking and then it's like or like something like when it comes to race, it's like there used to be general like general jokes you could make and that kind of stuff. Now you can't even make, like, now we don't know what kind of jokes we can make. We don't know what kind of things. We don't know what to call each other.
People in Peru got moved from the Looney Tunes movie because of that type of thing. Right?
Yeah.
And I think Speedy Gonzalez too. He's out.
Yeah. We don't know what kind of jokes we can make. We don't know what we even have to call each other. Are you Latina? Are you Latino? Are you Latinx? Yeah.
Bro, I think they started doing that for Filipinos or like Filipinx.
And they were like, nah. No.
Some of them are, some of them aren't. Even Latinos, like some of them are like, yeah, I'm Latinx. Others don't like it.
Yeah. Remember when we learned about BIPOC? It's like all this unnecessary fucking splintering, right? Fucking schizoid kind of.
Which is weird because they want to put all these hard barriers up, but they also don't want any hard barriers on things, and it's just very confusing. What deserves this barrier? What doesn't deserve this barrier? Who are you to tell me what deserves or doesn't deserve? Why is your opinion better than that opinion? Like, what the fuck, bro?
What about you, EJ? You think the sense of community is gone in modern days?
I don't know if it's gone really. I think there's strong communities, but they're just not ones that a lot of people find themselves aligning with. Like cancel culture in itself is from one big community. It's just it's a toxic community. It's a community.
Is it a community or is it the negation of community? Something being the opposite of something doesn't necessarily mean that.
And it's like, even if everyone is like, oh, like that person's canceled, I mean, just not associated. Is that a community or is it just like fear mongering? It's like, oh,
is it because there's a thing where something could just be a negation of other things.
So what do you think is a community? Like, what do you guys think a community?
I feel it's more of a, like, you kind of choose to be there type thing. Like, I feel like a community has like a certain number of rules, and I feel like like, so you're like, it's a place where you guys are like kind of choosing to be there. You're like comfortable with the idea, sharing things. You don't feel like you can't express yourself in this area. Like, there's like, all right, like I can like at least, even if it's controversial, you can at least bring it up, and they're gonna like chat with you about it, and like you can like figure out whether it's right or wrong type stuff. Like, I feel like that's more of a community, and I kind of do agree with you. Like, I feel like there are a bunch of like pocket communities that exist, and like that just goes back to my idea where it's like that's just your house, right? Like the gamer community, echo chambers. Like that's the gamer community.
You don't think it always been like that though?
I don't think so.
No,
I feel like it always.
Well, I feel like it has and hasn't at the same time. It's like
I feel like there were just better examples of that. Like,
well, I feel like
it wasn't to what it is now.
This is what I feel like like those stereotypic things we see on TV. Where it's like, oh, all the people in the suburb know each other, and all the people in the apartment building know each other. I think things like that happened a lot more than they do now, and it's now gotten to the point, since we don't have that main community, we are seeking that in our sub communities. Like, I don't think something like the gamer community should be that like super comfortable spaces. Like that was always just like that's where you go hang out and that's your hobby. But you still have this larger community with like other people. Like, I don't feel like, oh, I'm in the gamer community, I can't talk to anybody who's not in the gamer community type shit. And that's what I feel is going on right now.
There's a lot of
this is mine.
A lot of exclusion.
That's something else. Like, here's the hard barrier, and like there might be people in a lot of the same communities, but that still hard barrier exists.
Yeah.
So you would advocate a sort of like a common communal kind of thing.
Yeah,
communal
I feel like those things aren't there because like specifically in places like America, I don't think there's one holiday that we have where it's like you go outside with your fellow common man and just experience the same sort of joy. Really, like I feel like that might exist for like the pocket communities.
What about Christmas? You don't think Christmas?
No, Christmas is a solitary thing. You spend that with your family. You don't really do that with like the common man outside. There's no Christmas festivals that we really go to. Like a specific area could do stuff like that. Like, we're in New York City, so it's like even New Year's, it's like, all right, come outside and just experience this. But a lot of the times if you go to those other places, it's like you're gonna be at your house or with like your two friends that you basically have made
Yeah.
into your
Yeah,
family.
there's like New Year's Eve is the only one that has like a hard kind of like
Maybe
celebration.
go outside. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
But,
oh, watch the ball drop.
Yeah, Christmas. And like that's like I said, that's only really in New York City. Everyone else in the country is like in their house watching the ball drop,
Yeah.
or they don't even watch the ball drop. That's a New York City thing.
Yeah.
So
hasn't it always been like that for Christmas, Thanksgiving?
that's what I'm trying to say. Americans have that sort of
other
thing.
countries have like these specific traditions that they follow.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
like
come
part
out,
of
they
the
come, they
culture.
This is
come
more
outside
of
and
a-
celebrate.
Yeah, this is more
Not-
of a
not
religious
even-
one, but
not even-
Ramadan for
Yeah.
the Muslim community, they really at the end of that bitch, they just go to random people's houses and eat food. Like they just chill. They're together. That's a community.
And even if you want to say like it's not like even if it's not something that all the people in this like let's say this other country would join, the fact that it's literally a part of the cultural framework where it's like this is the
Like
thing
Carnival. Like we don't have
Yeah,
that shit like Carnival.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this is the thing we do at this time to celebrate this thing.
Like in Japan, there's Golden Week. Like everyone's on vacation.
You know-
Everyone's on vacation.
You want to know why I think
Chill.
like I don't want to sound like that guy, but I think a large part of his like religion has kind of like eroded in our country. Because like when you look at a lot of other cultures, even if it's not like well, it is a lot of it is religion. Like they have mythologies
It's
behind a lot of their traditional
a lot of their
things.
social gatherings.
Yeah, they have like mythologies, and we don't really have that kind of stuff anymore. Like we've kind of abandoned a lot of mythology and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like if that's part of it, maybe it's that we don't have like a guiding, guiding.
But
light.
America always been about like, freedom to exercise whatever you believe.
Yeah.
That's what they told you in school.
But no, but I'm saying,
we were the unwanted.
but I'm saying, but
you had to leave England because we didn't want you here,
Yeah.
buddy.
Oh yeah, it's literally
because of that, but
And because a lot of those people shared the same thing, they came here and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is nice." They just became their house. That's why it was so easy for them to be that community. Then they started. Other cultures started showing up in America, and then more divide. Religion starts dropping, more divide, and now we're like really at the point where we're like literally seeking that shit. Why do you think like, we're all on
Red
TikTok,
pill,
right?
Feminist community.
Yeah. Like you like everyone be on TikTok. It's like welcome to this side of TikTok. Welcome to that side. It's
The
like,
black-
why does
Black
TikTok
Talk
need
and
sides and shit?
Black
It's like-
Twitter. Yeah.
it's like we're literally dividing ourselves because we have no sense of community. So we're like seeking
We're
out.
trying to find that community.
Yeah, we're seeking it out, and it like you said, a lot of it might not be the most healthy. Because I can tell you that video game community is kind of trash sometimes.
Like even
The anime community garbage.
Yeah, I
I
feel
said that
like-
with my whole chest.
Yeah, because I started realizing that too. Like in terms of comic books, right? I was just talking to EJ about this. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was like comic books. I couldn't let that become my community because like there were too many things about it that were just corny and stupid. Like I was just like I picked up on it real fast. That if you let this shit guide your life, you lose touch with reality. Like I started to
He was
realize
like,
real
"What's this
quick.
substance on the floor? It's green and leafy."
Yeah. I started to realize like these niggas are crazy. Like I was like even
Sometimes, yeah.
like even to this day when I'm on YouTube and when I was talking about those stupid videos I see, those things will show me when I look inside and look at fellow comic book readers or anything. I just see the stupid shit they say. I was like, damn, these niggas need to touch grass. I was like, it's like this is dumb.
And it's not to say like everyone in the
Yeah,
community is
definitely not.
bad. And, like you can definitely find like some nicer communities. Like if you go to like a local card shop and you just play with those guys, and it's just like I play.
But
this,
even those
this on
places
Friday.
are like a meeting of different kinds of people.
Yeah. So
Like,
I feel like that's what I'm saying. Like those, like that's an example of how it's not that bad.
yeah, the board game shop we went to that time, like there's so many different kinds of people in that bitch, right?
And it's definitely a place where it's like, if you really just ask someone, like, "Hey, you want to play this big board game?" Like, it's strangers, they'll probably be like, "Sure."
Yeah, that's the kind of community you would advocate that we should have, right?
Yes. Where it's like I can like go out and experience just talking to a stranger, and it's not like weird.
yeah, the closest thing we have to that is if people are drunken enough when you're hanging
Yes.
out, that can happen.
Like it's weird. You gotta be out in the world drunk as fuck to have
In a place in
exchange.
which you're vulnerable and can die or something like that. That's the only way. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that vulnerability is needed. Maybe you
Well, I
need
think
to
it is
feel
needed.
the vulnerability, yeah. But the EJ brought up an interesting point where it's like, how do we build like this community while also respecting each person's right to be an individual? Like, how does that happen? Doesn't that become
but that's why I feel like you see it in other countries more often because is that respect factor there? Like a lot of those people are groomed or like brought up in those cultures, and it's like that's the only thing that they ever was raised around. So of course they're gonna take a lot of pride in that. They was never told to like go experience or go experiment different ways of thinking. Go see what works for you, like, and then come back to us if you still feel that way. You know how like the Amish do that? I think when you hit a certain age, they let you. Is it the Amish? Where
Yeah,
they let you
yeah,
out to
the
free
Latter Day
world?
Saints do it too, right?
I don't know.
You go out into the world.
But even with that, it's like
The missionaries.
if you spend like a large portion of your life in one kind of environment and that you're used to in this particular kind of culture, and you go out somewhere for a week just to see how things are different, like you're working against the past 10 to 15 years of your life. How are you gonna just like ignore that for 1 week?
People do it.
You know what I'm saying? Some
People do it.
Some people do because it's just so eye opening to
I wonder
them.
if it's some.
It's funny.
I don't know if it's more than half.
It's funny because I kind of did that, where it's like I grew up in a pretty religious like environment, and then like I would listen to like the church kind of stuff, but I would think some of it didn't make any sense. Went all the way out, kind of became pretty much an atheist, right? Didn't really believe in that kind of stuff. Then came back full fucking circle. Like I went out to the world and explored so many other things, so many other kinds of religions I thought were interesting, and that actually did give me like a better understanding and appreciation for Christianity in a way. I wouldn't call myself a Christian anymore, but it made me appreciate Christianity more, reading about these other kinds of religions, seeing the commonalities between so many of them, realizing they were kind of all saying the same thing. Yeah.
He's like, yo, bro, just stop being a dick, bro.
Yeah, I was
That's
like,
really good message.
Yeah, I was like, oh damn, because like when you step outside of the Christian community, right? A lot of people have the tendency to become. It's that thing where it's like instead of building community, you become the negation of everything else.
Mhm.
So you have negation communities, right? Like a lot of atheists, they just want to negate other
Yeah,
religions.
it's one of those like tear you
Yeah, if
down.
you're not with us, you're against us. type
Exactly.
mentality.
So like you end up becoming like that. You don't have any beliefs of yourself or any
Yeah.
guiding principles. You just want to unravel and undo all the guiding principles around you.
You never given the option to be like free to think on your own. Like you're free to come to that on your own.
Yeah.
It's just like you were raised this way. I want you to be this way. This is how we're gonna be. Not even saying that is wrong. Like like if this is something that you proud of, like this is a good culture for you.
Yeah, you're touching on something. That's what I was gonna say. Where it's like your parents. I was just thinking about this a little while ago. Where it's like
Because to them, that's what's best for you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's
That's
what
what they know.
generally speaking, your parents, your grandparents, that kind of stuff, they want what's best for you. And if the younger you are, generally speaking, they probably know a little more than you.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that they only want what's in your best interest. What they're telling you might actually be the right thing. Like if there were like odds on this stuff, like statistics, it would probably be like 70, 30,
like-
you know?
I feel like there are certain aspects where it's definitely true.
Yeah.
Your elders probably do know some better than it's like, hey, you generally don't want to go to jail. Like, stay out of that place.
Yeah.
There might also be things where it's like,
When it becomes like more specific,
like
right?
yeah, when it becomes like a social thing where it's like, this is how you talk to your peers, and it's like, you don't talk to my peers. How do you know what they want?
Exactly.
Type thing.
When it's like a higher level thing, generally speaking, your parents, what they're telling you probably makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's like, here are the rules to society.
Yeah.
Don't do things that end up in jail. Like, don't
Yeah.
do hard drugs. That's probably not good for you.
Yeah.
But there are certain things where it's like like their etiquette practices, the way you dress, the way you speak, the way you engage with others, like that's all coming from that culture, whatever religion that you was raised in. And it's like it's not even like these are not good things to practice. Like, Muslim, like one of their practices is to like pray 5 times a day, or to fast, or to not eat pork, or to not consume alcohol. Like these are good. Generally, these are good things to do. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't see the praying.
These are good things, but I'm saying like
pork one, bro.
Well, pork is a bottom.
it is not. It's not.
So
good.
are the shrimps and crabs. I'll be eating them bitches too.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Like
meat,
these
though.
are not bad. These are not
Yes, sir.
bad things. But when
It
you
don't matter. Bacon's too good.
Hey, it is good. I'm not gonna
I'm
lie.
going with the pork belly if I have to pick one.
Pork belly.
You ever had pork belly, bro? That shit's good.
I've had pork everything. Where'd you make it? Yeah.
It's crazy.
so it's like
You
with
said
the
that,
with the
bro.
these large
Well,
communities.
we're not Rastafarian, you know. No, Rastafarians are the ones who don't be.
Yeah, they don't eat nothing.
Yeah, but what?
They don't eat food.
So what? So
They
the
don't
thing
put
is, like
energy in
these large communities, what they do have the togetherness. They do have the celebrating on certain days and coming together. Everybody's outside, whether it's the festivals. But what they don't have is that freedom to venture out, really. Because if you do that, it's kind of like it's almost like their form of cancel culture. It's like it might not be harsh in a way of like oh, like, you know, you're punished or you're rogue
Yeah.
or, you know, you're not allowed to live here.
Some societies it literally is. Like
Yeah,
that.
some
Literally,
is like that.
Really branded as an
Some is
outsider.
like that, but then
EZA type beat.
others is more of like this passive aggressiveness. Is like, yeah, I don't really want to be around you.
Like Japan.
Like, I don't really want to hang out with you. I don't want to conversate with you. Like people in
A
America,
lot of places.
yeah,
China.
yeah. In America, it's like we could still coexist, even though like it's way smaller. Like, but
Well, see,
we-
that's
we
the
could-
thing.
we
Do
could have-
coexist.
See,
no, but I'm saying on a way smaller scale, we coexist. Like,
But
we
those types of people do exist in
Yeah.
other countries and cultures too. I feel like that. Like I understand what you're saying, but I feel like that in itself is a different problem because we are now forced to find these fucking niche things. We're kind of forcing that thing to become our personalities. Like if I find solace in like the fucking video game community, I now have to make video games my life to just like keep up and just enjoy being in that
Yeah.
community. And it's like, bro, like half the reason I'm like not too invested in these things. It's like, bro, it's just not my life. Like I play games, I enjoy talking about games, but I also enjoy other things. And I feel like it's kind of the opposite. It's like if you're in the large community, in your scenario here, if you do any individualistic thing, you're kind of outcasted.
Ashamed for it.
But then if you're in those little communities and you do anything to a greater, it's like, oh, you're a
That-
fucking normie.
That is the
I
perfect.
didn't know you were a fucking
Yeah,
normie,
That is
bro.
great. No, that's actually perfect. 'Cause I literally something like that. I mean, I told you guys this already. Where something like that happened to me. Where the people I hung out with when I was in college were like, very like, my sense of humor,
Stereotypical.
very stereotypical. That we had a sense of humor, and I would also hang out with the frat boys. So they were
Mhm.
like very nerdy, kind of niche kind of people, like geeks, right? Playing board games and shit. And when they'd see me hang out with the frat boys and getting drunk, or like maybe going with these guys to smoke weed or something, they would. I remember one of them said
And
something.
they do all the same thing,
Yeah,
by the
yeah.
way.
yeah.
One of them said something to me.
They
Something
both
like,
are not as accepting.
Yeah.
like to
No,
other
that's the
people.
funny thing.
Yeah,
The frat guys were plenty fucking accepting. They didn't give a fuck what you're doing. They just want you to come party with them. They don't give a fuck. You could be the nerdiest. You could show up to a frat party in fucking foam armor like you're a knight in a foam sword.
They would've
They
thought
just
that
think
shit was
I mean, there
all-
are-
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about your experience, but there
Yeah.
are some frat
Yeah,
guys
sure,
that ain't
sure.
like
Those
Yeah,
assholes, yeah, those
yeah.
assholes exist.
And then if you
All the
if,
frat guys.
Probably that more.
Cool as fuck.
Yeah, the,
if you're a former nerd and you go to
Yeah.
or not
More-
former nerd, if you are a nerd but you start to hang out with the frat
More
guys,
preppy
Teachers,
schools.
Yeah.
these frat boys are also there.
yeah, probably more preppy schools.
but, then,
yeah.
but the nerd
But
the nerd community be like, oh, you sold out, bro. Like, oh,
That's what
okay.
happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
The guy
become a
looked at
normie,
me.
you know?
The guy looked at me. One guy looked at me and was like, "Oh, I didn't know you were like that." And I was
He's
like, "What the fuck
what,
is that
bro?
supposed to mean?"
It's
I was like, "I was just drinking with some friends because I got
like I said, they
drunk."
do the same shit. Like
Yeah.
they be drinking, smoking, doing all that shit. It's just, oh, you do it with those
Yeah,
people.
they,
and you're like,
they do it in their very specific things. They trap themselves in a little room so no one else can see them,
Yeah.
and then carry on like that. Just because I was doing it out out and about with the
out in the
boys.
daytime,
Yeah.
in public. It's like, oh, you let people see you have fun? That's crazy. It couldn't be me.
Exactly. So like that was one of my first experiences with what you were talking about. That like these people, and I think that was one of the things that started to make me wake up. Cause like I'm not gonna say. I mean, I don't think any time you met me, I seemed like obsessed with the hobbies that I have. Like
No.
unless maybe like when writing, I'd probably seem obsessed with creating
Yeah,
ideas.
you
right?
shut up about them
Yeah.
things, bro.
But I never seemed like obsessed with comic books or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I liked them. It was obvious I liked them when you would talk to me. But like I started distancing away from that kind of stuff, a lot of nerd stuff, after I went to college and I saw how these people could make these things their entire identities and don't want to do anything
Yeah.
outside of that shit. I was like, this shit is dumb.
It's like you can't just see me for me as a person without the other stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
surrounding
it really
Yeah.
does become like that.
Yeah. Like I remember I would hang out with them, right? And all they want to do is play board games and shit. And I was like, we don't do anything else. I remember I was trying to explain to them like, yo, like why don't we go do something else? And they would never want to. Remember one day we were playing this boring ass board game. And
Were they having fun?
no one was having fun. That was the worst part.
That's the best.
No one was having
People will
fun.
do things they
Yeah.
don't like.
Yeah.
That's really against
No one's
you,
having
bro.
fun. They're playing the stupid board game. None of them understand the rules. We all think it's boring. I just finally got up and said, yeah, I'll see you guys later. I just left. I got up and left because the game was fucking boring. I went and hung out with some guys and got drunk. So I was like, because like that shit was so depressing and annoying. Sitting there playing this game that none of us wanted to play. I just let myself out. I was like, you know
One of
what?
them go do that, they'll leave and go get drunk or something. They sell out.
Yeah,
sell out.
yeah,
So
exactly.
they rather do something they don't like to stay within their community,
Exactly.
which is crazy.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
So I feel like it is a balance. It is a hard balance to
Yeah.
find, but there needs to be some sort of balance because I feel like
I don't know how you
both.
do that though, because those other countries could hard, be harsh towards you or hostile towards you.
I
The
feel
minute
like
that you try to veer away from their culture
a lot of the times
or
we
think
don't
differently.
have the full picture because we're not in those countries. We don't really
Now,
know.
yeah,
So like,
yeah,
I mean, when you really think about it, all we get is propaganda. You gotta remember, we live in America, right?
yeah,
America has a vested interest in keeping us and thinking our country is the greatest country
we're
on the planet.
no.
Yeah. So when they're gonna show us depictions of other countries, they're not gonna show us those countries in the best light.
Yeah,
They're gonna make it seem like those places are terrible places to live, or they're just not. They're
or
okay,
very
but they're
xenophobic.
yeah, they're okay, but they're not as good as America. We're the most diverse, greatest place on the planet.
Which
You know.
is true. It's true.
No, there are other places that are way more diverse than America.
Queens is the most diverse place in the world.
Sure, but I'm saying like that Queens is one area.
It's because we're in New York.
Yeah, I'm
We're
saying
better
there,
than California.
there are
Fuck
other
California.
countries that apparently are very diverse. It's just that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except those other countries that are not diverse.
Yeah.
We love to talk about those ones though.
Yes. And those places are the greatest places on the planet, and according to certain groups of people. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the case where you even do like talk about those countries, like, oh look, they're very community based. Like I want to put in air quotes because like when we talk about them in media, when we say they're like all the same, we're kind of like shitting on them.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily the same sort of community that I'm thinking about because like you will hear a lot of like bad mouthing about the Muslim community
yeah.
on the news and media, and like that's why one uncle on Thanksgiving, right? But like I'm friends with a bunch of Muslims, and they really enjoy that aspect because that shit's cool as fuck. Like they're literally just like, yeah, I went out, I met a bunch of random people, and it's nice to have that baseline connection, so you can at least like enter the conversation, and then you can figure out if you also align with those individual ideas along the way. And even if you don't, they're like, that's cool because we still have this other thing that like connects us. And it's like, so like yeah, even if like, oh, I watch anime, but you don't watch anime, we still can talk about this thing.
Yeah.
And hell, maybe you can teach me. It's like, oh man, I hear about the animes. I don't know anything about it. Like, tell me about it. And I'm like, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
maybe I'll check
Check it out. And religion has more of a hold on someone's life than like just like in comic books.
Well,
Even though people treat it like they
Yeah,
religion,
that's the thing. Some people
That's the
let it go
problem.
that far. Yeah.
but like literally a religion like Muslim, Christianity. I mean Islam, Christianity, being Catholic, like all those religions, like
had to shut them out.
Yeah.
You forgot Buddhist, you asshole.
and Buddhism,
Yeah, list every religion.
Hinduism,
Oh,
but yeah, all those
You isms, you forgot.
all those all those religions provide a framework to life. So it isn't just like
You tell me comic books don't provide a framework for life, bro?
yes, that's exactly it. Some
Nah,
of-
bro.
generally-
I live my life
But
the
they not-
same way
they
Peter
not
Parker
meant
does.
they not meant like the
I
person that
get
creates
zero
this-
bitches and struggle.
They not
Oh,
meant
you
to
get
be
bitches now.
they-
You get
bitches now.
Yeah.
they not meant to be taken in that manner though. Like they meant like a lot of that stuff is entertainment. A lot of it's
I
entertainment.
mean, I those Bible stories to me were like reading comic books. Those stories were cool.
I fuck with the Bible movies, Joseph and
Yeah.
the Seven Colors.
Those stories were cool.
But
man.
like
Samson was always my favorite Bible character because he was pretty much a superhero. Like he was pretty much a
religion
fucking
is like
superhero.
guiding your entire life. When you wake up in the morning, what you do? You pray, or depending on the religion, or you
Well, it is like a guide.
you-
It basically
yeah,
is a
generally
guideline.
you going to church. Even as far as like certain activities you do, it could be seen as a sin. Like if you start venturing into certain things. So it's kind of hard to be like, I wanna like touch grass and go hang out with other people that's not inside my religion, because like they might get you to do some things that go against it
Well, see, that's the thing.
unconsciously.
I think religion becomes dangerous when you forget the grounding aspect. That's when you can become a zealot and start doing crazy shit that doesn't make any
But
sense.
it's hard to be grounded. It's
So-
kind of hard to be grounded sometimes when
Since-
you really invested in your religion. though.
Nah, even if you are really investing in your religion, you don't gotta go on the crazy shit. And in the community that I'm speaking of, like, no one's forcing you to do that. Like, you have that common ground. Like, and I'm talking about I know, like, that's not how it is
Yeah.
right now. I'm saying this is in the idea that I have, and, like, the kind of community that we're lacking is, like, you have the common ground. You are able to venture out and experience X, Y, Z, but you just, like, still can go home, technically, and, like, if like, all right, yeah, I experienced it, I didn't like it, or I experienced it, I did like it, and the people's like, it's not for me, or same, and like you're still accepted. I feel like that's what we're lacking.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it wasn't like that before, or it isn't like that in some other countries. Like I said, a lot of people would like you to believe that those communities are like, damn, you ain't like us, you gotta leave.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times it isn't. Because like my, well, this might be a specific to my sense, but like Muslim friend even, like in her religion, like you gotta wear the hijab, right?
Yeah.
At least in America, you don't have to. You still be a Muslim and not wear it. You can be a Muslim and wear it. You can take it off for a specific time and then rediscover your love for wearing it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will, especially if you're like a public figure, there will be like a lot of vocal, like it's usually a vocal minority.
Yeah.
People will be like, oh, how could you do X, Y, Z? But a lot like the majority of people, like, because they don't care or like they just like don't mind, you're not gonna hear from them. Like if you do something and you switch up and it's like, yeah, they're out there exploring, they're figuring it out. I'm not gonna go like and hound you for it. But a lot of the people who like dislike you, you'll hear from them. So it's kind of like a false positive.
I think like the main thing for like this kind of communal idea that Ray has, it's more like it's like improving the acceptance level where you're willing to accept that there are differences between people, and then also having like, so like the acceptance level is the first thing. You have to be willing to accept the differences in other people, differences of opinion, that kind of stuff. Of course, there are going to be like extremes that you just think are, intolerable, like completely. Like there's like an Overton window, of course, right? That everyone's going to agree on, like murder, grape, these kind of things. These are bad things, like very extreme examples, right? Obviously. And then the other part is like Ray said, the traditions, right? Like if there was like some kind of like holiday tradition that we just agreed on, that everyone just did, right? Together. And then like this became like the acceptance level was there, so you accept that everyone's different and that kind of stuff. That would probably start to improve things a lot. Like we just had
that's kind of what happened
ideas.
with Pride, where like they just show themselves in the street and the acceptance levels increase.
Yeah. Because like I remember I was thinking about this the other day where I was talking to this girl and we were talking about that movie Tag. I was like, yo, you know what would be cool? I was like, imagine you were to create like a tag game where it's like through the internet. It's like you tag a random person, then it's like people just tagging people across the country. And this becomes like this international tag game, this game of tag, where people like tag each other and recording it. I was like, that shit would probably bring the world together. Oh man!
Until someone is like, I can make money off this, and you're like,
oh. Yeah. So like, I mean, if you had the chance to create a unified cultural holiday, what would you do? What would be your holiday?
Shit, I'm probably never even thought about it. I do like the big like festival things where it's like it's just a giant party.
Yeah, I think it should have some element where you have to make things involved in it, like some kind of.
Oh, like, a lot of those festivals, like you gotta make food, so that's why I enjoy it. It's like you literally just go out, you eat food, and you just enjoy each other's company. That's the kind of holidays I like the best, or like I wish we had here, because especially like if you think about it, like that was like a staple of like the black communities. Like you would have the cookout. Where the whole family would come.
And those are big communal things. Like everyone shows up.
Yeah.
Everyone shows up. You could be white. You could be a fucking. You could be a fucking Guyanese.
Yeah, it's like here we're eating. Have fun.
Yeah.
But if I had to make one, say I had to make one that's not like just have a party. I would like everyone to like be involved in something, like kind of like that tagging where it's like it's a fun thing that we all do. Shit. What could we do? I'm not gonna lie, that tag game is in my head. I was like, that shit.
Yeah, awesome.
Like I would play that game.
Yeah.
Like maybe something along the lines where it's like you just gotta like do something nice for people, and like you just
like a pay it forward.
Yeah, pay it forward thing. Where it's like you know how the night you just give something out. Like in this holiday, it's like all right, I gotta do like 4 nice things for people, or something.
Imagine you had to it's like a gifting holiday, but you have to make the gift. Something like
that would be kind of cool too. It's like everyone like makes one gift and you just give it to a random person.
Yeah, like you can't go out and buy it. You literally have to.
Yeah, make a gift. You have to give it to a random person, and like you can only get one gift. So you just like, so if you get 4 gifts, you gotta give the rest of the dog.
And then when you get a gift, you now have to do the same thing for someone else, and it becomes this.
Yeah, thing. Like everyone makes a gift. Like it was the 3 of us. And like we both give gifts to EJ. EJ can't have more than one, so he has to give them out. You just have to keep exchanging, so that by the end everyone has one. I think it'd be pretty funny. You probably end up with some weird shit.
Yeah, I really feel like these like unified, because I try to do. I mean, you guys have probably observed me doing that shit. Where like you guys will see like when we go out, you'll notice I'm talking to men very often.
Well, yeah,
Because like they're alone.
We've all done it.
Nah, because I remember one of our boys that was
shit
playing with us.
broken.
He would just make fun of that. She thought not make fun of it. He always thought like he was like, why do you always talk to guys? All that, right? I was like, well, it was like in my mind, right? I was like, well, I mean, I was like, part of it is like these guys come out, and like even just the other day when I was at, when I went out by myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of it was I had to finally succumb and let myself just become part of the organism. That was how I.
The part of the community.
Yeah, that's how I enjoyed myself. That's literally what I had to do, like unironically, right? I had to realize there's just a community of people having fun. Let me just join them and have fun. And then we had joined them. When I stopped thinking about it from like the aspect, I think I was talking to you about it, where I was like, I gotta go talk to this many people, right? When I let go, I was like, you know what? Just try and become part of what's going on, right? Once I like, collapsed into the, let's say the ocean or whatever, then I started talking to people because I'm now part of the scene, right? But then you look around and you see these guys just standing there, and there's like you can see they're on the prowl, like they're looking. And in my head, I'm
hunting.
like, yeah, I was like, because even when I wanted to do it, it wasn't like I was hunting, like I want a bitch, like that's not what I was doing. I was just trying to get over that, like that apprehension of talking to random people.
Uh-huh.
And then part of it was now I had to realize if I become part of the community, these are no longer random people.
God.
They're just,
It's 6 o'clock.
yeah, it is. There are other people that are part of the community, right? So then, ref is coming, by the way. I told him 7, so that's all right.
Come wherever you want.
So anyways, yeah, so like, I'm looking around, I see these guys, and they're just like, and it just made me think, I'm like, damn, this is why I used to talk to these guys. You could see on their face they weren't enjoying themselves.
Yes.
So I'd go try to like liven them up or get them to,
I'm coming out like coaches like, get out there and play the game.
pretty much. One of the guys I literally did some shit like that. Because he was talking to some girl, and she walked away. She seemed to really like him too, right? And then she started dancing. And it was like some shit where I became ref. I became ref in that instance. I picked up on the social cues that she was dancing in a way like in his direction. And he's just standing there. So I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I did some shit like, when he said you helped that person, but they didn't know you were helping them?
Yeah.
I just kind of walked over and I was dancing, but pretending. I was really dancing, but I was bumping into him on purpose so he could go over closer in her direction. And then when he got over, guess what happened? When she dead turned and saw he was closer, she pretty much backed up all the way into him. And I looked at that shit, I was like,
my job is done.
and I liked the girl too. I thought she was hot. But I was like, hey man, she likes him. I was like, let me give him a solid. It's like, yeah, when you become part of a community, it's like that sense of like, it's not just you.
Yes.
It's so much.
It's not just you.
Yeah, life becomes so much easier. Like even when we were talking to girls or anything becomes so much more fun when you're part of a group of people.
It sounds weird.
Okay,
It sounds weird.
I know the girls part. Talking to people becomes so much more fun when you're part of
a lot easier to talk to strangers when you're in a group.
Yeah.
Because it's just easier. It's like, if you strike out, you can be like, well, that guy was a weirdo. You just walk back over.
Just go back to your girl like, hey.
He's like, that shit was weird. Let me tell you about this shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But anyways, because I'll segue into our next point. Because you were talking about the time, like
I just didn't realize it was 6 o'clock.
bro, I mean, if you got anything better to do,
You gotta go. You go.
Yeah. Some fucking Fred Flintstone shit. With the fucking saber-tooth tiger locks the door on him outside his house. That shit always used to piss me off. That shit used to get me so mad. When I was a kid, I was like, they locked him out of his own house. That's wild.
The reason I would be upset is like, you don't even got windows. Just go through the window.
Yeah, that's another thing I used to think about. I was like, why does he just jump through the window? And he's in there like, Wilma. I'm like, come on, man, get rid of that fucking cat. Like, he clearly doesn't have your best interest at heart.
Especially like, it wasn't like he did. Oh, he just put it outside, right?
Yeah.
It was like putting out the dog.
Yeah, and didn't it? I think it would go through the window.
Yeah, I think he jumped through the window, kick him out.
Kick him out and lock the door. Crazy, man. I used to fucking hate that fucking. But anyways.
It really got you in your feelings.
Yeah, that shit used to get me so mad. But All right. Speaking of contentious things and like cultural, cultural,
Contentious.
Yeah.
Flintstones is contentious.
cultural
Trying
ideas.
to find a way to fit that in there, huh?
You know the Flintstones used to have you can find like ads for cigarettes, old Flintstones ads for cigarettes.
I
Fucking
believe it.
yeah, family friendly cartoon. It's like, oh, these cigarettes are the best. You know, smoking other cigarettes.
Yeah, I think it was the menthol ones or something.
Yeah, something like that. But anyways, it was Ray who suggested this topic about do you guys think it matters if your wife takes your last name?
Since I suggested it, I'll go last.
What do you think, EJ?
Does it matter?
Yeah.
Guess it depends on who you asking, but you asking me.
That was weird as
Well,
fuck.
yeah, that's why we started with you.
I'm gonna say no. It don't matter.
Why do you say
It
that?
don't matter.
So your wife not gonna take your
It
name?
don't matter to me.
So your wife not taking your name?
Okay, why
No,
is
no, wait. Is your wife not taking your name? That means
I
yes.
got a good last name.
That means yes. You want
That
to-
means it does matter.
You fucking liar. You know what I'm saying? Say it full chest. Would you like your wife to take your last name?
Would I like it? Hell yeah, I would like it.
All right, then. That's
Do I
your
need
opinion.
it? Nah.
Nah, that's your opinion.
Okay.
He wants it to happen.
Yeah, so let's speak about it from not like a necessity standpoint, but from like a desire standpoint. So do you desire your wife to take your last name?
Desire is like a higher form of.
Nigga, do you want it or not? Stop the cap, bro.
Yeah, we need a blue cap for it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right, then. Gio.
told us, man. Yeah.
I mean,
What?
okay,
Be
so
nice.
I have,
It'd
to
be
change,
nice.
I have to change my thinking because I don't give a fuck about marriage anymore, right? But at the time, back when I cared about this kind of stuff like marriage, I probably would want the name because there's a level of pride, you know, that comes from from a societal standpoint. There's a level of pride of like
Got a
I
nice
passed
ring to
on my name. This woman considers me
it. Miss Martin.
important enough to like to pledge herself to me and take my name. You know, like taking my name. Like I don't even give a fuck how sexist this makes me sound. That's a huge part of the pride. You know, she's taking on my name, and this is like she's gonna breed children for me that are gonna also take on my name. It's like the name lives on. That's a large part of it, right? So yeah, back then I probably would have cared a lot about the name. Now I'm not so much. I don't really care, but I don't care about marriage that much in general. So that's probably why.
Personally, I don't care either way. It does not matter to me. Because in a similar sense, I don't care about marriage. Not to the point where I wouldn't get married. It's more like a we can't get married type beat. It's like, yeah, we can get married, right? So like, I really don't care if you take the name or not. How about this? Like, my kids though, I feel like they like if I had kids, they gotta have my last name.
Okay, see, why do the kids have to have the last name?
This is mine.
I was very aggressive.
Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, bro. It's like that's my kid, bro. That's it. Like we gonna have
That's
to fight
my
for
wife.
it.
What you mean, guys? That's my wife.
Well, to me, it's not her.
You're not possessing her to come to that.
Is that her kids too?
She'll have to fight me for that one. With a rock paper scissors.
So you let her keep her name, but she. So,
It's not an ultimatum thing. It's not,
would it
we're
be
not
an
gonna-
agreement? Like,
No, it's not that. It's like I don't care what you want to do. The kids got my.
So it is an ultimatum.
It's not an ultimatum because there's not a choice. It's an ultimatum. Ultimatums are choices, bro. There's no choice.
Nah, but when it comes to marriage, they also got the option to keep theirs and just add on yours.
Yeah,
So
they can
it's like
hyphenate. But like I was
Yeah.
hyphenate,
It's a
change,
three-part.
keep. I don't really care.
Wait,
a two-part last name.
What made you think about this? Was it how?
That's what I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
You
So
thought
I
about
was
getting married? Oh.
no, no. I was on this app Fishbowl and like
I gotta get on that. But yeah,
no,
go
you
ahead.
don't. You could because there's a lot of stupid shit that they talk about on there. This is really goofy.
Yeah.
Not that this was the goofy thing. I was like, there's just some goofy shit on there. So I was on it, and this woman was like, "I don't want to take my husband's last name," or I can't remember. She's like, "I don't want to," or it's like, "I don't know if I want to." And there were mad people in the comments, men and women, be like, "He should leave your ass."
That's not even that big of a deal.
Yo, that's what I was like. That's what I was reading. I was like, "Yo, is it?"
I would
that
like it
big?
when you was asking me. I said I would like it, but it ain't like
No, because like
if
these
she
people
really
in the
against it. I'm
comments,
like, all right.
because people in the comments like, here she is asking for advice, right? She's
Yeah,
like, I don't know if I should take my husband's last name. I kind of don't want to. Like, she's just like asking genuinely for advice. People was like, he should leave you. How could you even think about not taking his last name? Men and women were saying this shit. Men and women, they were like, oh, I could never not take my husband's last name. And people was like, oh, women always want to keep their accomplishments. Bro, literally put accomplishments in air quotes. And I was like, that's not even what she's talking about.
There's a lot of projection.
Yeah. It was a lot of projection. So like, I was wondering, like, I was like, let me just ask you guys, like, would you like mine? It's different because we are men. We don't got. But when someone even said that, I was like, yeah, men don't even gotta worry about this kind of thing, huh?
It sound nice though. But I
Yeah,
don't
that's
like
funny because
You can change your last name.
when you suggested that question, it was funny because it was something that also had popped into my mind recently. Because there was this video where they were making fun of, you know, this guy. Have you ever heard of this guy iDubbbz? You guys ever heard of this guy?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, he's like this YouTuber guy. He married this woman. He became a huge cuck after he married this girl.
Jesus.
This guy. And I was being dead serious. Like, oh yeah, he took her. He took her name. He changed his last name to her last name. Yeah, but that's not even why I think he's a cuck. The cuck stuff
I ain't
came.
taking my last name. I'm down.
Yeah,
that. I will.
That's why I was
staying
thinking.
on that.
How was I just gonna look someone in the face and be like, "You gotta change your name"?
The cuck thing.
Shit.
The cuck thing is because his sense of humor was like very very out there, very like raw, right? And then as soon as he started like trying to, I guess, rehabilitate his image, he became this kind of like, pretty much literally, he had a series called Content Cop. He kind of became like the content police, where now he's like this super like kind of, he doesn't want to admit he's a liberal. He tries to act like he's centrist, but it's like super liberal cop guy.
I don't know him.
Yeah,
care.
like
But
He
took his wife's last name.
took his wife's last name, and that made me think. I was like, oh, I wonder if this matters that much. Like, I would also never take some like fuck.
I like my
stupid.
name.
I like my name. Yeah, I do.
You sound
like
nice.
my name. I like my name a lot. Yeah, when I say my name, I thought he was looking at you.
He don't look at me. He's looking up.
But yeah, I like my last name. So, and you like your name. We all like our name. When you gave me the name on the card, you're probably very proud of that. You know,
That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Accomplishment.
So like, imagine now you had to change your name. Imagine with some goofy shit too. Like, say you meet some girl named Campania or some shit. Now you gotta be.
All the campaigns are for you.
Now you gotta be Eric Campania. Would you want that? Would you want it to be your
I
name?
don't want none of that. I don't want none of that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that is very.
I ain't tied to it, but you know what I'm saying? She don't want it. She don't want it.
Because that's the thing, right? It's like, on one hand, I guess it comes from a very outdated view of marriage, right? Because like, I used to be very traditionalist in how I looked at a lot of these kind of things, but I've kind of evolved past that in time, and like I kind of view a lot of like the traditional ways we do things. Some of it I think is outmoded, and we've grown beyond it as a society, right? And sometimes I wonder if we would stop like fighting about things so much and just let things naturally evolve, I wonder what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, we just let go, let things die as they're dying instead of like clawing for them desperately. Like, we remember when we used to do that, we should keep doing that. You know, it's like, or we can just stop. It's okay.
We stop.
People don't want to do it anymore. People don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like the last name thing, right? What would really happen
Nothing.
if people just stopped? It's like nothing.
Because I was gonna tell you, like, I don't think they take other people's last names in Korea. Like, I think you just you just get married. Like, I don't think you change your last name. I think your kid though, like your kid, I think it takes the father's name.
Prepare for us to be called cucks after people see this episode, because they're gonna say that.
Nah, I said I don't care.
Look at those cucks, man.
Yeah.
Look at those betas. Look at those betas.
What's more embarrassing is you got to take your name and you couldn't even hold on to it after.
Yeah, now that's some goofy shit. You
She's
know,
supposed to be a part of you, man. How you let her
Oh,
go?
talking about people get divorced.
You know what I'm saying?
that she took it all that.
All that? And you
Yo, someone in the comments was talking about how if you change your last name, your credit takes a dip. Like if you get divorced and you change your name back, your credit goes down because they're like, oh, you your credit goes down. I was like, yo, what?
That's social credit score. That's what that is.
Like, oh, you got divorced? Unwanted. Nah, so they were like, it's because you lost the income source technically.
Yeah, because the
So
income
that's
coming together.
why some of these bitches be keeping the last name, huh?
Nah, I'm pretty sure your credit don't even go down that much. I think it's like 15
Oh, because
points.
some
It's not as significant.
some
Like if it was 100 points, I'd be like, shit, bro.
Some bitches
you can keep
divorce.
that name. I'm not gonna do that.
Some
to you.
bitches divorce and keep the name. They keep going.
I mean, the only times I heard about that is usually if they're famous,
Yeah.
and it's like now I'm famous because I married a famous person.
Yeah.
I think that shit's goofy.
So you'd never take the woman's name? Woman's last name? Well, what if she was rich?
No, I mean,
Like, what if she was like wealthy? Like,
What's
she
that
could,
got to do with me?
she could change your life.
What's that gotta
She
do?
wants to marry.
Look,
She
man,
wants
if
to
the
marry.
last name ain't Gates, I ain't changing it. Like,
My,
You
my
gonna
first
marry Bill
name, my first
Gates?
name and last
He has
name, both
daughters.
5 letters.
Wait, okay.
Yes,
That's
daughters,
the last
bro.
name, 5 letters. I don't know.
Would you ever marry a guy, like, it doesn't have to be real? You marry
Marry a
him
guy
for, like, you have to
for
marry
tax
him?
benefits?
Yeah, for tax benefits.
I don't think there's
What is this, the Adam Sandler movie?
I don't
Yeah,
think there's
okay.
any tax benefits.
I now
Okay,
pronounce
No,
it.
but let's say he's, like, also rich. He's like, I just want you to, like, walk around with me. I'll give you money and shit.
So I'm a sugar baby?
Yeah, you're sure.
See, that's a different question.
You don't gotta have sex. You don't gotta have
No, that's
sex.
a different question.
You don't gotta have sex with him or anything.
No, that's a
You gotta-
completely different question.
Well,
Would
would
you
you
fill out
do
the
it?
paperwork? I'll give you
Would I
money.
marry a guy?
Yeah,
Look,
you don't have to have sex.
First person. First.
You don't have to do anything
Oh, wait.
romantic.
We're gonna go back to the first
Okay,
question.
okay.
Would I marry a guy for the tax benefits?
Yeah.
I don't think there's that many tax benefits.
Yeah.
So probably not. Like if there was some crazy benefits, like look, man, if we get married tomorrow, we buy $3 million houses. Yeah,
I heard they give
like
you
sign the
more.
papers, bro.
I heard they give you more paperwork when it's same-sex marriage. Like, it's way more paperwork.
I know that.
Okay, but
That
let's
shit
say,
sucks. If you want me to basically prostate myself,
yeah, you're prostate.
like I just gotta escort this man around.
Prostate himself.
I just gotta escort this person around
Yeah, you just gotta be
for money.
You might catch someone that
Nah,
when
I
a person
don't
comes
think I
through
can
to
do that.
verify.
I don't know.
No, you do
Isn't
that.
that person that
Dude.
comes through to verify the
Like
marriage?
it really does. It really
How
does
do you-
depend on like the kind. It's like, yo, bro, I just need someone to hang out with me at this con. Versus, I need someone to like go on this romantic date with me. Like, I'm
That's
not
like,
going on
if
a
you don't gotta
romantic
do
date,
anything
bro.
romantic, well, you just gotta exist as his significant other.
It's like, yo, bro, I need you to pretend to be my boyfriend for this wedding. You don't gotta do nothing.
Just
I'll
hold
hold
hands.
I'll hold down. I'll hold down. He's like, you
Okay.
just gotta like do that little side. Bro, imagine the mom looks you up like kiss him. Kiss him right now.
Her eyes
Her eyes
wide
was like, I don't believe you. He's
He's
like,
like,
oh damn, she's calling my bluff.
I have herpes.
Nah, bro, I got the garlic
I
breath.
just
That's
had
gross.
COVID, so
I just ain't COVID.
Nah, bro, you in someone's house after having COVID. That's crazy. I'd beat your ass just because like, yo, you exposing me to COVID?
That could be the older lady too. She'd be real bad.
Oh.
Well, okay, so like I say, it's a wealthy woman now. Would you ever take her last name? You doing it? Like she's just like life changing.
like
Like,
changing
I
money.
have to marry her.
Life-changing,
Like, I
right?
have to marry her.
Yeah,
I have to change my name.
yeah. This is like a life change. You marry this
Yeah,
woman,
Now
your life.
we just stay dating, I guess. I don't
Nah,
need money.
I change my shit.
Nah, she
I can
don't
get it
want
back.
that.
I can get it back.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't. Like she's like
She want-
like a
she
random
want a
lady I
husband.
don't know. She's like, marry me right now and get this bag.
Let's say you've been
Nah,
dating
fuck.
for a while.
Nah,
Yeah.
I mean, nah.
And you gotta change your name too.
For a bag, like this is a lot of money.
Yeah, you said life changing money.
Yeah,
It's
life
life changing money.
life
It's a
changing
lot
money.
of sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But like how like
I haven't been able to do
I
that
think
much
it's
with
something
my
that do
last
it for
name.
5 years before you get some alimony. So
oh yeah, divorce your ass. And no, just you gotta. Here's what you do, right? You gotta trick her into cheating on you, so that way you can get some extra money. You know, if she cheats on
They
you,
do benefit the women's hand.
if she cheats on you, then it's even worse. Because then now she has to pay you more, and the lawyer can make a better case because she cheated.
You get married the first day. He's like, "Hey, what's the best way to divorce my wife?"
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Start walking around
that's
with
what
the club.
these people actually do.
People actually do that.
People do
People
this.
actually do that.
Yeah, people do
crazy.
this. But what I was gonna say, how goofy? Like, is there a limit on how goofy the last name is?
Absolutely.
Yo, if that shit is villain away, though, boy, I'm out of here. That gets the villain away. That's just not
Yo,
Imagine his doofus friends. It's like,
Dude,
I'm not gonna be no doofus.
Okay,
I'm
that's
just
kinda
an
cool.
extreme example.
That's kind of cool.
Only because it's in that show. But like, imagine it was something as goofy as
that
that.
shit. Schoppenheimer, I'm good.
Oppenheimer. What about Oppenheimer? Is that better? Remove the shop. Does Oppenheimer?
I was like,
I am
yeah.
become death. You know? Fuck it up. Okay, I'm trying to think. What could be a cool last name? What would I be willing to do?
I knew a girl with a cool last name. Her last name was Law.
LAW?
What
Yeah,
was her
just
first?
Law.
You don't gotta say it first.
Yeah, still.
I was
I
wondering
thought
if
that
it
she
was
was
a
cool.
name.
She was a goofy bitch though.
Oh,
I don't care if she
she's
sees
like
it.
she's like from Tekken, martial law. You know?
Yeah, I thought that shit was cool as fuck. I was like, damn, strong last name. Like,
Martial law. Yeah. But
cool as fuck.
yeah. But yeah,
First shit, Bird. I don't know if I could be Bird. Mr.
yeah,
Bird.
Bird is a little weird.
Oh, remember Burns? We knew a Mrs. Burns.
Oh, like Mr. Burns.
Like Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
And she was like, so we made the jokes. Like, so you married Mr. Burns? She was like, yes. Yes, I did.
It's like, oh. She's like, yeah, I've heard it before. I remember fucking the joke that used to get me so annoyed is the Geo dude. Oh my fucking god.
It's the wrong Geo too.
Yeah, that's the part that used to piss me off about it the most. The Giovanni from Team Rocket one wasn't so bad because it was the same name. It was actually the same name, right? And he was cool, you know.
Cool guy.
He wasn't that cool. Because,
I mean,
he hired.
he's a cool guy.
He hired those two.
No, they were just they were like they were throwaways. He
Oh,
did not have them.
Okay, so
he didn't have them do anything important.
Yeah,
That's why they're following
That's why
that.
they're following Ash. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. That is true.
Because like then you met the other two and they're like way better.
Yeah, yeah. Wasn't every other Team Rocket person ever
I
appeared
think,
way
I
better?
think it was Cassidy and someone else.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, he was cool, but there were like Geo dude, geometry.
That's dumb.
All this kind of stuff. Yeah, it was dumb.
That's dumb.
He used to get me annoyed. And then,
It was good geometry. That's stupid as fuck.
Geometry.
How you fix him out to say something like
that's what I said. I was like, it's not even funny. That's what I used to tell people. I was like, it's not even funny.
Can you solve this right angle problem for me?
That's the right angle. Oh, man. Well, I remember there's this girl from my job who she kept spelling my name GEO. So I told her, like I said in the chat, right? And you know, I wasn't even being a dick about it. I was trying to make it funny. But it actually does bother me when people spell my name that way, the GEO, because I fucking despise that spelling. Right? It's just a nasty looking spelling.
you don't like the planet Earth, nigga?
GEOVANN, like
the oil. I thought you just GEO. That's it.
Nasty. It's nasty.
Yeah, Giovanni is
I
not.
hate it. I hate it.
I
Right?
don't think you like geology or geography.
So she said it, and I was like, oh, you know, my name is GIO, like, you know, spell it this way, blah blah. I made a joke about it, and she's like, just because you said that, I'm gonna keep cutting it. From that moment, she was dead to me. She was dead to me.
Nah, that's just crazy. It's like, oh, you don't like this? I'm gonna call you by this dead name for this dead name.
That's what I was.
Like,
I was like, yo, you know, if this was a trans community, you'd be dead naming me. You'd be dead naming me. You'd be giving me a name that I do not want. Right?
Yeah.
I literally told you I'm uncomfortable with this name. You know, and you refuse to
guys
acknowledge
do
it.
that all the time. Call me by a thing I don't like.
Oh yeah. Oh, remember what he said? If you keep touching, I'm gonna punch you in your mouth. That was so funny, man. I became Superman. I jumped in between them so fast.
Bro, because he would always do it. And then he would introduce me as that to people. And then they would start calling me. I was like, yo, literally don't call me that.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you know,
This is Ray.
right? Even I remember when I first met Ray, I kind of did it a little bit. But it was like a joke. Even it got old to me real fast. Like I moved on and stopped making that joke. Though I think the running gag for me with you was the rap I made with all the girls you liked. that was the thing. I did this like classic hip hop rap, and I used to do it. And it was like this dumb little thing I used to do. But that was like the only running gag I think I had about you. Oh, and the accusation that you beat women. Like
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. No, it's a fake joke. It's a fake joke. It's just a reference to one little accident of something that happened.
But I was out here in the world, and he's like, "How you know this nigga beast?" I was like, "What the fuck?"
That was the only running gag. But like, you know, these were just extreme, like, just funny things that we used to do because we thought it annoyed him.
And I had nothing else to do, huh?
Yeah, no, we were kids. We were kids. Like, what was
And
my
then minding my business.
I forgot what
can I make about this?
Yeah. I used to enjoy doing that kind of stuff a lot. I don't know what mine.
Man.
I don't think anyone had any running gags about me. I don't remember any.
Not really.
I don't remember any. But yeah, that shit was so funny though, because you know, he calls you by the dead name. He dead names you, right? And we're gonna keep using that because I think his thing is real funny to steal their terms from them. So
Still there.
what the fuck?
From death.
That was a joke, I promise. That was a joke, I promise. I promise that was a joke. But anyways, so yeah, he keeps calling you by that name, and then you know you're just like, oh, stop calling me that, right? And then what did he say? You're like, oh, I think you was like, you either pushed him. No, you didn't push him. You told him to stop calling you that, and he said something like, I've been going to the gym. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Did he say that first?
When I met him again after a few years, he was like, "Yeah, I've been going to the gym."
Yeah.
That ain't straight.
And then is that when you said you're gonna punch him in the
Somebody
mouth?
said they going to the gym.
Yeah, he said I've been going to the gym.
Yeah, I was like, bro, he said that. I was like, I'm about to beat the shit.
I think when you said you were gonna punch him in the mouth, I didn't care that much. I didn't think you were actually gonna punch him in the mouth. But I think it was when he said I've been going to the gym that I was like, hey,
Cause I was like, when you said that, I was like, oh, word?
I was like,
Like you just like roll up your sleeve. You're just like, what?
I was like, hey,
That
guys.
just mean you could take a beating. Great.
That's a good one. That's a good one. At least you can take a beating. Yeah, I was like, hey, take it easy. Like, stop.
I got rough you.
Slow your roll, buddy. Slow your roll.
Too much dip on this shit.
Way too much dip. But yeah, so like the last names, yeah, I generally don't think it's that important. Yeah, it's not that important
What
to
you
me.
want?
Huh?
What you want?
I mean, no, that was in the past.
What you want?
Currently, to have a girl have my last name.
Like if you got married today, you'd want it.
That shit flattering, I ain't gonna lie.
I mean, yeah, in a marriage, if I got married, I'd probably try and do it in the most traditional way possible.
Cook.
So, I mean, wouldn't that be the opposite? To do it the most traditional way possible? I'd probably try to do it in
You
the
gotta
most.
buy her a ring. You gotta pay for it yourself. You gotta listen to all her
Well, see, that's the
commands.
thing. It's
God.
like
This is a
marriage.
joke, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, marriage is like a communal thing.
It was a communal.
Yeah,
thing.
it was like a
People like strangers would be invited to your wedding.
yeah,
You don't do that no more.
exactly. Because marriage,
The most sacred of unions.
yeah, marriage was once the union of tribes. It was like tribes uniting together, right?
Yeah.
So like, if I'm marrying someone, I would like to engage in all those parts of it because those are supposed to be the parts of a marriage. I feel like marriage should be, if you're gonna get married, it should be more than what it's become. You know what I mean?
If I got married, I don't want to have a fun wedding. I don't want it to be like everyone is bored out of their minds. Cause like I never wanted to go to a wedding because like you see it on the TVs, like you just sitting there and then it's a long thing and then you're like sitting there in the stuffy ass suit and it just didn't look enjoyable.
Yeah, having one of them African weddings, you're dancing.
Yeah. You see all these other cultural like unions,
Yeah.
like specifically, like in Bang, you would literally have mock weddings, and it was literally just a party.
That's cool.
Like they would just have mock weddings. They'd pick two people. They're usually like some fairly attractive, like some like prom king and queen shit, right? You pick them. They're getting married. You do all the thing. It's basically like a giant practice for when you will get married or some shit. And that shit was cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, man. So, do you guys think marriage should be like a traditional thing, or should it be like how the way people look at it now, where it's just like this
I
thing?
feel like your marriage should be
No,
your
you could
wedding
do
specifically.
courthouse, you know what I'm saying?
Like
Courthouse.
your wedding should be however you want it to be.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do some weird shit, you want to do some tradition. It's up to you. It's your day. It is your day.
Shit, it's expensive to finance that thing. So
If you
money,
want it to
cool,
be,
yeah.
it don't need to be expensive.
It doesn't have to be.
Like there's literally like whole communities on TikTok and Instagram about how you can save money on your wedding,
Yeah, and
or how unique things you can do at your wedding.
the funny
Which is
thing
funny
is,
because if you do it, it's not only unique if everyone knows.
I mean, in those African cultures, you know, or other cultures, you don't even pay for the wedding yourself.
it's like a community fund.
Yeah.
thing.
I ain't asking the community for that. That's a burden.
Well,
I gotta pay that shit back.
It's not a burning contest. It's like a giant party. They're
part
all
of the process,
partaking in this thing.
Yeah, but then something gonna happen. They gonna catch a flight. Remember, I funded that. I was one of the funders.
That's the thing. Like that's like not happening because it's a community thing.
It does happen.
Well, it's more like a.
You gonna have to pay it back.
Think about it this way. It's more like because you were already used to like saying because you would have also paid for weddings. Like when someone's like, "Yo, bro, I need some
that's
help,"
true, that's
you'd probably be like, "Yeah, I got you." It wouldn't be like a, "Damn, I'm paying this back." It's just like we all are together. It doesn't matter. Like flat's a flat, especially like you know how much flat is? What's a flat? That shit's $20, bro. You can't hold down $20, bro. You can't help your boy out for $20.
No, man. It's kind
Like, bro, I drive you around all the time. You can't help me out.
tight, bro.
I don't remember that. Your wedding, bro.
I'm kind of popped right now. I ain't gonna lie to you.
So you don't got $20? Nah.
Then you don't got $20 either, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I had to pay my rent, bro.
all right,
I had to pay my rent. Yeah.
you gotta do that every month, though.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you don't have $20 and your excuses.
I can understand if you don't have $20 cash.
No, if you're saying you don't have $20 at all and your excuses because you had to pay your rent.
Then I'm
something's
concerned about
right.
you.
Yeah.
It's not even like I'm looking down at you. I'm concerned. It's like, are
Yeah.
you eating right? Like, you okay?
Yeah. Like, so, are you eating though?
Start pulling out
Are
the
you
black
eating
jewels.
though? Yeah. Oh man, it's like something must be going on in your life that you can't just say like $20. I get because then what happens if you end up in like an emergency situation where like a good $30 or $40 can help you out, you know?
Yeah. No. I've been trying to carry more cash, or like at least have some. So it's like if that situation happens where I need some cash,
Yeah. Where you walk.
but it's hard.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into that club with the cover. Like, You got
Because what if you see
The love of your life just walked in.
a
and was
tall
like,
glass of water walk in there, man?
you're like, no, bro, come on. You don't got 20. You don't deserve that love of yours. That's what a bouncer would say some shit like that. He's like, you trying to marry that work? You got $20, bro. You worried about the wrong thing.
You were the wrong thing. Oh my god! But
Jessica Alba walk into this club we all like love, like not
Bro,
love.
Jessica Alba walks into a club. The cover is no longer $20. Cover, like, as she walks in, and is like, yeah, the cover just went up.
okay, so let's say a cover is $60, right? Is there any woman that would walk that, like any woman that's attractive enough to make you pay $60?
$60 for what?
More than likely, she
$60 to go to be in her presence? No, you're
more than
stupid.
likely she gonna be surrounded by security, so I ain't even gonna be able to.
Yeah.
Well, let's say she's not famous. She's real hot.
See, all right, what is the amount of money for me to have the option to shoot my shots?
That's a different question.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is 60 too high?
If I have an option, like a real shot.
Well,
60
it's
not
like,
that
look,
much.
like you can go up and have, like, you have
Not
the
saying
option
that
to
she-
chat with her.
Let's
Yeah,
say
not saying that she more-
that's like you know you have the risk.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have the risk.
You know that you might have a chance.
Nah, not even saying she's gonna leave home with me, but if I have a shot to even talk with her, like we could converse. 60 not bad.
I feel the highest I go 100. Highest I will go
100.
Highest,
100,
bro.
yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. What I was saying though was like, if I am confident in my ability, it was like, yo, if she gives me the interview, I'm getting the job type shit.
Yeah.
100 is the highest I go.
Yeah, 100 I'd probably be like, 100 I can't. I'll just be like, it's okay. 60 maybe. 60 maybe.
Because like, you also have to say, if I had to pay 100 just to get in, and you know, I'm not even gonna be able to
Those
drink
drinks,
here,
yeah,
bro.
those drinks are gonna be crazy. They can be like, oh, you trying to open up a tab? 50 minimum. You're like, oh.
You already robbed me before I got here, bro. What do you mean?
Nah, but you gonna have to get a drink for it too. So
Oh,
you
man.
can't just go up to a drink list. Like,
No, you gotta be like, you
You go up, sit down, he's like, I'll have whatever she has.
you gotta be a Sigma man. You gotta like not get her shit and everything. That's what Sigma males do.
Is that the right thing?
how am I gonna get sick, man?
The way he said that, was you concerned? Is that the right
That
thing?
Sigma shit out the window. I already paid 100 to get in. Ultimate shit at this point.
No, you trying to buy me a drink? You didn't have to pay the cover rate.
Like, why?
I'm a little thirsty. You can help me out. I'll be at your wedding, no?
The least they can do is get a drink, right?
Oh, man.
Oh man. Anyways, any final thoughts, guys?
Don't get too attached to these smaller communities. It is nice to have them. It's nice to have people you can talk to with your hobbies. It's nice. It's definitely nice.
Yeah.
But you gotta keep a certain distance, because if you fall too deep in the sauce, you're gonna go crazy. You're gonna go insane.
Yep. You're gonna become too saucy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Just don't let that community that you find comfort in become you, define you. In a lot of ways, shape your ideas and thoughts.
Become you, define you,
Confine you, put you into this prison basically, where you can only interact with those that are within that community. Don't let it become your religion. I mean, it could bring you a lot of comfort, entertainment, pleasure, but you know, there's more to life than just interacting with the same people you know. You know, I feel like that's very limiting. A lot of people have, you know, great conversation and things that they can offer you. Not even talking about like monetarily, but just hearing what someone could say, like their views on life, their perspectives. Like I always strive to like surround myself with more people. Not even like, even if we don't agree eye to eye, I said this before, like I like to hear what people have to say, even though if I think it's dumb, but I want to surround myself with more viewpoints. I feel like that makes me a more well-rounded individual as a whole when I'm opening myself up to that. So that's what I just advise other people to do more. You know, is just to not stay within their one community and segregate themselves.
Yeah, man. I mean, I generally agree with you guys. Like, okay, so I guess I'll go from the top, from like what we spoke about. And I guess you guys can do this too after if you want. But
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. All right.
So
Need some water.
I need some water.
No, I do. I need some more.
So yeah, generally speaking, children, you know, they don't need to be socially like trained in like a very specific way or told what they can and can't do by their school officials or that kind of thing. Like when it comes to social issues, I think schools should kind of take a back seat and let the parents and the community do that work for them, because you know the kid is gonna find out things on their own and evolve as a person. And they should focus more on academic. And I think like when it comes to academics, children should be allowed more freedom in exploring things. So as Ray said, they can make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. And I would even advocate maybe like less stressing on like testing and that kind of stuff, and more on like
It
freedom
is
and
very
individuality.
what is it? Contingent on you not making wrong decisions, and
Yeah.
and it's just it's not conducive to a learning
Yeah.
environment.
Now I'm not saying no testing at all, but like you know,
Yeah, you gotta figure out if they know what they know, right?
yeah, stop structuring the entire school experience around tests. It's like that test is coming at the end of the year, you know, that kind of stupid shit. I think they're already kind of moving towards that perspective, though. But I think they're doing it too fast, to be honest.
I don't think they have the resources to do it properly.
Yeah, yeah. Also, you know, like we were saying, you know, I feel like life is about building a bunch of individual communities you can be part of, and like being able to switch between communities as you please.
That's
like
why I
that kind
agree
of
with
thing.
that more than trying to form one large
Mhm.
massive community. Because I don't think that's bad, but I don't think it's just realistic. I don't think it's realistic.
I feel like society should be a giant community.
Yeah,
It should, but
I feel like
I don't think it's
I feel like we should carry on as a community, like in form of how the way we socialize with each other and the way we focus on the commonalities we have with our fellow man more often,
Mhm.
right? And that could be through tradition, whatever. And at the same time, when it comes to your individual communities, instead of being trapped within them, you have to learn how to be sort of like water and move in between communities. Like for example, I like going to the gym, but I also like reading books. But I can do a lot of things. Like I can sit there and talk to you about video games if I wanted to, because I try to be open to a lot of different things. And I feel like that one helps with the idea of community, because being in a community is about being able to shift and being able to talk to different kinds of people, like being able to coexist as one unit despite being different individuals, right?
yeah.
So I think that's a large part of it. And finally, I don't think I'm in agreement with many of the feminists and postmodernists, as people call them, where it's like I don't believe the last name matters that much. I think it's an old tradition that I don't think it deserves to go to bed, but I think, you know, if it's going to bed, I don't think anything changes in our society that much. I think there might be more benefits, if anything, because like now people can exist more as individuals instead of completely defining themselves with the person they're married to. And I say this from both ends, right? Like the man, his entire identity being built up on the idea that he is a husband, you know, it's kind of limiting, because then what happens when he loses his wife? Now people act like he's less of a man. And even he thinks in his head that he's less of a man because he lost his wife, right? And even the woman, she now seems incomplete because she's left the man. Like this whole marriage thing, it becomes more than like this union. It's like it becomes a substitute for who they are, you know? So, yeah, that's all I gotta say.
All right. Seriously?
On that note, catch you same bad place, same bad time.
All right. What do you do?
Very good out. Yeah.